Hey, welcome in everybody out there in Woo Nation. This is a special Sunday night edition. We rarely ever do a Sunday night edition of this with live coverage of our Woo Fantasy Experts League draft that's going to be going on tonight. But of course, this is your favorite podcast out there on Twitter, everyone's favorite podcast in the fantasy community. This is the Woo Fantasy podcast presented to you by Rotoballer.com. And without further ado, let me get to the business at hand right off the top of this show. Win big in 2021 with Rotoballer.com's NFL Premium Pass. Are you ready to dominate your season-long in DFS leagues? Rotoballer's NFL Premium Pass and draft kit includes rankings, projections, cheat sheets for all formats. Get exclusive draft articles, DFS tools, lineup optimizers, and our premium Slack chats. Join in on the winning and take 50% off of any premium pass. Use the promo code WooFantasy for another 10% discount at checkout. Just visit rotoballer.com/radio. Sign up today and start rotoballing like a boss. Got to get that out of the way first because we're always presented to you by Rotoballer. And then always we are presented to you by Underdog Fantasy as well, the newest sponsor to the Woo Fantasy podcast. Definitely jump in there. Promo code WOO at Underdog. Get you involved in some of those great contests that they got going right now, which, of course, is Best Ball Mania 2. That is the largest fantasy contest in the industry, with a chance to win up to $3 million in prizes. Jump in, use promo code WOO, and we will give you an extra special credit on your first deposit. So jump in there, guys. But now that business is out of the way, let's jump into the show tonight. We got a few minutes. We want to kind of touch on some topics, but before we get to that, I want to, as always, introduce everybody to the co-host of the show, the real FF GOAT there. Nick, how are we doing tonight, sir?
Good, man. It's one of my favorite commission leagues that I do here. The other one we do is a dynasty league, so I don't get to throw that commissioner's hat on too much. So this is the one draft and run league that I get to be commissioner of. It it brings together a lot of the best fantasy minds that I know. So I'm ready, man. I was just looking back at last year's standings. I just missed winning the whole thing here this year. So only one way to go, right? It's up.
Yeah, you can only go one way but up. If we want to kind of touch slightly on last year's league, this one here, ravaged by injuries, if I recall correctly. I drafted Dak Prescott in this league.
By injuries, beat.
Also drafted George Kittle in this league, so was really ripped apart early in the season by injuries in this one. But go over the scoring with this. We're doing it on ESPN. It's a full point PPR with this league here, correct?
It is, yeah. Full point PPR. We actually start 3 wide receivers, 2 running backs, a tight end, a quarterback, a defense, and a kicker.
Oh my God. Yeah, we're still doing kickers, guys.
We absolutely are doing kickers. Any league I commission forever, we will definitely be doing kickers. But I give bonuses at 100 and 200 yards, as well as 40-point touchdowns as well. So that's probably one of the little wrinkles. But other than that, it's pretty even scoring to what you typically see with a PPR.
Yeah, 17 roster spots in this one here. So we start 10. You do have a bench of 7. So it's a little bit smaller than we do in some of our deeper formats, the high-stakes leagues. And a lot of the industry leagues that we've done up until this point, a lot of those you draft up through 20, so you get the extra bench spot. So that'll be something we'll get into here in the next few minutes. But of course, a lot of people probably sitting on the edge of their seats because they want to know what we got to say when it comes to the latest around the NFL, when it comes to news and notes, and of course the injuries that have struck hard over the past week or so among the NFL. We've lost since the last podcast we've done. We've lost Travis Etienne, gone for the season from the Jacksonville Jaguars. And just yesterday, just last night, we lost J.K. Dobbins for the season, down with an ACL injury for the Baltimore Ravens. So injury striking already yet again, and I don't even want to get into the Irv Smith meniscus injury. I don't want to talk about that one, but that
was your big tight end. That was late there.
That's my breakout tight end, and it's
tried to tell you how bad that one. I mean,
near and dear to my heart, and here we go.
Yeah, so I mean, it is you.
Let's veer from Irv Smith for a second. Let's talk the running back position, which is always kind of the go-to when it comes to fantasy football. So Etienne's down. We've got now, assuming James Robinson taking over the role that he really kind of coveted last year, where he saw 70% of the workload in that Jacksonville Jaguars backfield. A little less known fact that a lot of people are kind of already forgetting is Carlos Hyde being signed to this roster earlier in the offseason. And we saw it in the game already since the Etienne injury. We saw Hyde and Robinson kind of splitting the workload in that backfield.
Yeah.
Do you expect to see that in the regular season? Do we expect to see James Robinson shift more back towards 2020 James Robinson? Or are we going to see kind of that headache in this backfield with Carlos Hyde?
And thinking about this, even before the Etienne injury, I just had that feeling that James Robinson was going to be, more of the lead back with Etienne assuming a hybrid receiving role kind of a thing. But I was a lot more on James Robinson. I drafted him in our keeper league last week. With his value, he was just somebody that I thought would be there. I really wasn't on Travis Etienne this year. He just the value is just not, especially with him getting drafted like fourth round, some of these leagues, I just went about it. Dynasty league, I'm a lot more about it. I didn't really buy into Carlos Hyde. Look, this is James Robinson's job. He's going to be the lead dog here. I think you've already seen him move into the top 15 at the running back position. And I think that's right. I mean, he showed last year what he could do. He was a top 5 running back last year. So for me, James Robinson's a guy. I don't really buy much into Carlos Hyde. We've seen the best of what Carlos Hyde is the last couple of years. I don't really want him unless, God forbid, something happens to James Robinson at this point.
I'm kind of the same way. I've had to kind of spend most of the last week and even a lot of today kind of reorganizing rankings and getting those up and ready over at rotoballer.com. So obviously there's been a moving and a shaking, a lot of shucking and a jiving, and we will pardon that sinus infection, Nick Heffley there.
I'm coming off of it.
So, but
I probably should have muted it. Oh, well.
Probably should have muted that.
Live and uncut, right?
Yeah, live and uncut, and folks out there loving every bit of that. But no, James Robinson, I've moved him up in my rankings accordingly. And where I've moved him up to is RB 15. Currently in my half point PPR rankings, which are the ones that are accredited through Fantasy Pros, but up to RB 15. So I'm kind of expecting that uptick, that workload kind of to be a little bit similar. Probably not as much of a heavy dosage as we saw last year. They're going to use Carlos Hyde. Let's be real about it, because it's Urban Meyer, and he's already shown through the course of his first offseason as a head coach in the NFL that he's just a brickhead. And he doesn't know really what he's doing when it comes to rostering and managing a roster. I mean, you're talking about the guy that, he has brought in kind of the dead weight of Carlos Hyde. He's brought in Tim Tebow, who's obviously gone at this point in time now. But I do expect him to see James Robinson used a little bit more now, not as much as last year. So that's kind of where I've kind of backed him up a little bit into the rankings. If we were assured that he's going to be, getting 70% of that work, 75% of that work, he's an obvious RB1 based on what he did last year. So a little bit of hesitation there, but I still think he's going to be viable enough to draft as a competent RB2, especially for an offense that's going to have to move the ball and have to score points, because that defense is just not going to be good.
Mm-hmm.
But on the flip side of that, now we have J.K. Dobbins out, and it opens the door for Gus Edwards. But I'm also of the affirmation that I believe that this Ravens team is going to bring in a back that's going to get cut at some point over the course of the next few days. How do you feel about Gus Edwards and the Ravens backfield moving forward?
I like him more in a non-PPR league. I think he is Derrick Henry light with his new version. Just you and I have talked about this. The Baltimore Ravens are going to bring in somebody. This is not going to be Gus Edwards is not a bell cow running back, so he's going to have somebody in there. Again, I think that at the running back position, he's probably toward the late teens, definitely behind James Robinson for me. He's more in your Darrell Henderson, Damian Harris, Mike Davis range. I think he slots in just ahead of those guys.
I currently have him at RB 17 through the updates that I did earlier today. I've got him slotted just ahead of Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Chris Carson, and also ahead of DeAndre Swift, which is going to cause a lot of people to throw up their hands and wonder what the hell's going on because, I'm not so high on DeAndre Swift, and everything the coaching staff has said up until this point makes me feel better about where I have him ranked. But no, Gus Edwards, I agree with everything you said right there. He's going to be a guy he's going to get used. He was obviously already going to get used in that backfield. We know that. He was splitting time to a degree with J.K. Dobbins anyways. Now he just kind of flips to more of that J.K. Dobbins role where he's going to get more edge as the rusher, more kind of that 1A back in that backfield. And let's not forget it. This Ravens team has led the NFL in rush attempts each of the last 3 years, so they're going to run the football. And so to your point, in a non-point PPR type setup, J.K. Dobbins is going to be a guy that's going to be highly valuable in those setups. But as things stand right now, I've got Dobbins there. I got Edwards at 17 after the Dobbins injury. I expect, like I said, to see this team bring in a veteran running back or someone that is cut over the course of the next few days. But if you listen to beat writers and some of the beat reports over the last couple of days, don't rule out Tyson Williams. That's a name that's kind of been picking up steam over the last few days. He's a guy that this team might be high on, and if they don't make a move over the course of the next few days, and let's say you have a draft next weekend before the season gets kicked up and started, Tyson Williams, if you're in a deeper league, say 20, 21 rounds, Tyson Williams is a dart throw you can kind of probably pull at the end of a draft, let him sit at the end of your bench and stash him and see how things play out with this Ravens backfield. That's how I'm kind of looking at that.
I believe his name, according to ESPN, is Tyson.
Ty apostrophe son, which is Tyson. Let's play semantics with the vocabulary.
I'm just saying.
I mean, this is fantasy Twitter, and God forbid we have issues with people using the wrong vernacular out there because that's caused some issues out there in fantasy Twitter land over the course of the last week. Let's like I said, like I put out on Twitter not long ago out there earlier today, this season cannot get here fast enough. I'm sick of hearing and seeing all this damn back and forth Twitter bickering and fighting between analysts out there and people
Speaking of drafting, we got a minute
each other. Yeah, so that I'm kind of bleeding into the draft. So so hopefully we get this season started and we kind of get everything, all this fluff back behind us out of the way and really kind of get down to the nuts and bolts of why we're here. And that is to win some fantasy championships in 2021. That's what we're trying to provide for you here with the Woo Fantasy Podcast.
Right.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Well, real quick, I was say before we
jumping in there, jumping in there, want to put the draft board out there.
Let's go over the draft. I don't think your draft board's live there, but
let's see.
Yeah, your draft thing's got 4. There you go. So we got Philip Hampton from the long-standing league that we talk about. The commissioner of the Hampton Cup, Philip Hampton, drafting 1. My good friend James Sherrill, who's a big Carolina Panthers fan, drafting number 2. My boy, your boy, Roto Superstar, drafting number 3. John McConaughey, 4. Doug Chandler from Florida, originally from, you can see the dog's name in Georgia, drafting 6. Last year's champ who beat me in the championship game, Larry Worthless Bunch, drafting at 6. Then we got our boy JP Hogan drafting 7. Mr. Charisma drafting 8. Let's hope he even knows this thing is going on because he is.
He's left and joined the league a couple of times here lately. So
okay. Looks like he's good. Neil Lowry, former college roommate, drafting 9. Yours truly, am drafting at 10. We got the other commish, Dr. Brian Harwood, with his trusty assistant, Matt Krantz, drafting at 11.
The living legend, Matt Krantz, primetime right. Matt Krantz.
And little brother, picking up the rear, drafting 12th. Let's do this.
Yeah, so we're ready to go. Number one pick, obviously, Christian McCaffrey comes off the board. I was thinking James there in the number 2 spot was probably just begging and hoping that the number 1 pick was not going to be McCaffrey so he could land his boy from Carolina. Not the case. Yeah, that's not the case.
I was talking with Philip ahead of time, just making sure that he wasn't going to pull a little shocker here. But I think he can be okay with Dalvin Cook at number 2.
So we have McCaffrey, we have Cook come off the board 1 and 2.
Really here I am. Where are you going?
Here I am at 3. And with this being the full point PPR, I've got a few options. Obviously, I'm not going to go with the projected pick according to ESPN here. That has Saquon Barkley as the next best available pick. No Saquon for me. I'm going to go with Alvin Kamara with the 3rd pick here in a PPR format. I mean, he's coming off a career high 83 catches just a season ago. The team makes the right decision and goes with Jameis Winston as the quarterback. So let's hope now we have Alvin Kamara back on track with another 80-something catches this season.
Would you, if Taysom Hill got named the starting quarterback, would you have gone Alvin Kamara there?
At that point, probably no. With Taysom Hill as the quarterback, I'm probably kind of backing off a little bit on Kamara. It gives me a little bit more pause at that point. So I'd have probably at that rate, I'd have likely gone with Ezekiel Elliott or Austin Eckler in that spot.
Interesting.
Very interesting.
Well, let's see. Yeah, I think the one move I was hoping to make here, Travis Kelce went to our boy Mr. Charisma there. So I am now on the clock. Let's see what we got here.
Yeah, and we see Saquon Barkley just went on the 9th pick of the 1st round right in front of you. So
yeah, I mean,
does that affect you?
Yeah, I mean, I would have gone Saquon there. I mean, going this late, I'm cool going with somebody like Saquon. Here really the choice for me is between 2 guys. It's between Aaron Jones and Nick Chubb. I usually always love to check the schedule here to see who these guys are going to be playing, especially championship weeks and such. Because I think you're really splitting hairs with these guys. Defenses down the stretch are going to be a little more.
And here we go. We got somebody trying to tell you the pick you need to make right here. T. Roach Dub on Twitter telling you.
Oh, what's he got?
Pull the trigger. Pull the trigger on Aaron Jones is what he's saying.
I'm going to have to agree and go Aaron Jones as well.
I think that was a smart pick to make there.
It is. He keeps going higher and higher in drafts. I mean, I don't believe the A.J. Dillon chatter there. If he's going to come in and do something, it's going to be minimal work. I think Aaron Jones with the contract he signed, the Packers love to draft guys and then sit them on their bench. So
yes, and I mean, yeah, I think Aaron Jones is a guy on a full point PPR, and the way that the offense is set up right now, I could have made the case to draft him ahead of Jonathan Taylor that we saw go in the 7th spot in this draft here. And there goes my boy, Antonio Gibson.
You're about to say Aaron Gibson, weren't you?
I wanted to say Aaron Gibson.
Let's see what we got here. I'm just taking a look at some of these guys who's going to be coming back. I do like the end down here. I would have loved the 9th pick versus the 10th, but so be it.
Right, yeah.
Austin Eckler.
Which kind of a no-brainer pick here at the bottom end of the 1st round your brother makes there. Goes back-to-back and puts Nick Chubb in there, 1st pick of the round 2. So you got your brother starting off with a very strong running back duo of Austin Eckler, Nick Chubb. Very strong start there.
Yeah, no, solid picks on there. I mean, I think, I think this is one of those leagues where you only see it's very running back heavy. Obviously, everybody listens to our podcast. Unfortunately for us, so this is one of those. You only had one tight end and one wide receiver going round 1 here. So
Yes, that is absolutely true. Just to give you the also there, T. Roach Dub wanted to let you know, my man pulling the trigger on
That's right.
Aaron Jones.
That's right. Where do you think I should go next there, Roach?
Yeah, let's get a little interactive with some of the people here.
Let's see if he's going in the direction I'm thinking here.
Because I would imagine that you're still going to go in the route of going with a running back here would be my thought because of how we do kind of push the running back position here on this podcast. So I think you would want to you would kind of start off strong and kind of solidify your core there.
You would think that sounds like something you would want me to do, though, huh, B?
I'm just kind of pointing out the obvious.
Oh,
he says, T. Roach Diggs says, Najee or Diggs?
Yeah,
Najee or Diggs, and he also likes Ridley.
I he and I kind of are right in the same method of thinking.
Yes, I would agree.
So I agree because the thing I went over with Stephon Diggs, and here's why. I do like Najee Harris. We don't know what his role is going to be on the team here this year. We just don't know. So that's a big reason.
My thing is with Najee, and I expect him to go off the board here in the next couple picks. I don't think I've got a shot at him towards the end of the round.
No, he's going to go in the next 2 or 3.
Yeah, so the thing with Najee is he's obviously going to be a guy that's going to be heavily featured in the Steelers offense, but they also throw the ball a ton. So to me,
I think he's going to catch him, and there goes Najee too.
He's going to catch the ball. That's not an issue there. But to me, I wonder how much he's going to get in the end zone in year one.
We talked about it last year.
The issue there.
Yeah, we talked about it last year with CEH. I just don't know what that role is going to be. I don't want to find out in round 2. I want to find out in like round 4 or 5.
Sure. Yeah. Now, Najee, I think just workload alone is going to put him easily in that mid-second round value there. So we got Ridley off the board, followed by Metcalf
off the board here. That's kind of what happens when you go 10 out of the first 12, and then even more so, 12 out of the first 14, or excuse me, 11 out of the first 13 at running back. You're going to see some other guys, go on a position that's a little bit different than running back, even for me.
Yeah, you kind of get into the situation here where you've got a lot of people kind of trying to maximize what they have at the running back position, wide receiver position, and so for me, I'm looking dead.
I feel like I know where this is going.
I'm looking dead at a player that I'm kind of coveting here. And for me, obviously, I'm going to stick into the running back category here. I see a lot of the wide receivers that are on the board are kind of all in the same tier. So I'm not really feeling this dire need that I've got to go and get this wide receiver and solidify my wide receiver one just yet. So I'm going to go stay with the running back, and I'm going to go after a guy that I've really touted a lot this offseason. Pulling the name David Montgomery here to be my RB2 here towards the end of round number 2.
Yeah, I think.
How do you feel about that?
I think it's a solid pick. I was getting him round 3, round 4, early on in some of our experts drafts. Obviously he's getting touted more and more. The workload I think is going to be there. He's a true lead back. I mean, I think he's I think he's absolutely one of those guys that should fall right in this round here. So. Good pick.
Yeah, I agree. It's just with being on this front end of the draft board, I kind of feel like really it's the way I've played all the drafts that I've been so far is, if I'm in this spot where I'm at the first end or if I'm at the back end, it kind of puts me in a spot where I feel like I'm better by the end of the draft by going running back.
Yeah, I agree. It's one of those things, if any one of those guys that were right there for me in the back half of the draft had fallen me with that second pick, I would have gone running back. But, getting a guy for me that I have, Stephon Diggs ranked as my number 2 wide receiver, I feel like I'd have been reaching for the next running back on my board.
So Justin Jefferson comes off the board here, 211. How do you feel about Justin Jefferson now that we don't have Irv Smith out there? Do you think that that's going to open things up more for these wide receivers? I think, or do you think we're going to still see Justin Jefferson the way he was last year, or are we going to see a little bit of a regression this year?
I think we're going to see a little bit of a regression, not a ton, but I think he's going to be one of those receivers that I think the offense in general is going to see a little bit of a regression. But I say all that to say I think Thielen's still going to be good. I think Jefferson's still going to be good. I just don't think he's going to. I don't think he's going to have the type of numbers that he's going to have, which I think is why you're seeing him drop a little bit in some of these drafts.
Sure.
Philip Hampton going Chris Carson, A.J. Brown. What do you think about Chris Carson? I know my opinion of Chris Carson. I don't think much of him. I really don't. I've never been a Chris Carson fan. To me, he's always been hurt. You can never rely on him and drafting him so early.
Well, the thing is,
something I want to do.
He does. It's what we always talk about when we talk about running backs. What's their best ability? It's availability.
Sure.
And that's the thing with Chris Carson is that he's going to miss some time. He's going to get banged up. There's going to be times where he's off the field, and that really hurts his value when I look at Chris Carson. He showed last year that he can catch passes. Now, is that something he's going to sustain in 2021? Who's to say? We don't really know because they brought in a new offensive coordinator. Some things are going to kind of change this year with that team. So for me, I think we're looking at Chris Carson as a guy that he's a solid RB2, but that was a little bit early to pull the trigger on him. I think in this particular draft. So yeah, I'd have probably gone a different direction there.
I know you're sad. Darren Waller went right before. I know you're going to attack that tight end position early.
I would have probably grabbed Darren Waller there had another pick been made, but he does go right in front of me. But now that gives me the opportunity to solidify my wide receiver 1 here in this draft, and that's just what I'm going to do with the guy that's the top name on the board, and he's the top name left on my board at this point in time too, and that's Terry McLaurin coming aboard Team Woo here.
I thought you were so high on CD Lamb this year. What gives?
I'm still higher on Terry McLaurin here. And I think, he's higher on my board. So we're playing to what's true to what I've got out there at this point in time.
Okay.
So Terry McLaurin. I mean, there's just a chance that this guy has a monster season in 2021 with Mr. Fitzmagic back there under center. I think we're in store for a big year for Terry McLaurin. Obviously, I've got him inside the top 10. I think if things break right, you can see this guy as a top 6-7 wide receiver by the end of the season if things break right for him.
Break right.
That's right.
What movie is that from? B? Come on, don't let me down.
Oh God, I can't remember. You're catching me off guard.
Top Gun. Break right.
Oh, Top. Well, that's because you're speaking about a movie that I've not seen in forever, and not sure I want to see again.
Well,
I've not been a
more recent one.
No, it hasn't came out yet. I'm talking like the Top Gun. I was never big on Top Gun. It was never my. Yeah, I was just.
I'm sad for you.
I'm sorry. I just found better things to watch. I guess Tom Cruise doing piloting movie like that wasn't really up my wheelhouse.
That was an amazing movie.
Catching up on the picks here as I'm going through. Speaking of tight ends coming off, you had a tight end come off the board just in front of you, George Kittle there. So that makes 2 tight ends in this round. And that's really kind of
this is about right. Maybe a little later than we've been seeing. All right. What's my boy think about the pick here? I'm intrigued. I know I've already selected the guy, so let's see how good he is.
Well, he was going to say to go get Robinson, but we just saw James Robinson come off the board at 3-7. So that leaves the door open for another selection here.
Oh, and it's going to be another Robinson.
Yeah, no, he's saying Allen.
Exactly.
Or he could be saying, no, wait a second. He could be saying Allen Robinson. That is true. Allen Robinson.
That is the pick.
That's what I figured would be the pick. So as we're looking at things here, So that was Allen Robinson coming off the board, and our first QB comes off the board here. Patrick Mahomes, pick 311, coming off the board to the SBFFC crew of Harwood and Krantz. Let's look at it here. We've got Allen Robinson was your pick here at 310. I had Terry McLaurin there with pick 3-3. It went Robert Woods, Keenan Allen at 3-4, 3-5. Then we had CD Lamb come off at 3-8, and then you with Allen Robinson at 3-10. I think your pick with Allen Robinson there was a really good pick considering who all else came off in front of him, because I would have definitely taken him above Woods. Might have had him on an even keel with Keenan Allen. And I've got him and CD Lamb right now kind of neck and neck in my rankings. So that was a tough call. So, yeah, I think you got him in a good spot there here tail end of round number 3.
No, I am. I'm quite happy with the pick there. I would have loved to have seen James Robinson come down, but I'll go the other Robinson gladly.
And then we have Amari Cooper Kupp going with the kind of the tie-in with names to your brother to end round 3, start round 4. Amari Cooper.
Two Coopers, 1 Cup.
Oh my
Dropping
God.
dimes. I'll be here for the next hour. Guys.
Yeah, for real. Oh my God, that was a good play there. I like that. Good play on words.
Thank you. He should change his team name now.
He should. That's kind of a coveted team name. Although they did talk about it on football. I think it was Football Diehards not long ago. The other day they were talking about team names for the fantasy season for 2021. A guy called in and said that's been his team name. Like each of the last 2 years has been 2 Coopers, 1 Cup.
And he actually gets to do it. All right, what you got, Roach? I've got my pick ready to go here. Where we rolling?
Yes. So here we are. We're in round 4, pick 4-3. Let's see. We've got Nick on the board with 2 wide receivers and a running back.
Let's see how often this guy listens to our podcast here.
I would assume, based on how much I've seen you draft, that this is going to be a running back selection here. It's just a matter of who's on the board.
You are correct. I'm gonna get a chance here.
But I'm not sure. Not sure who you're going to go with there, though. That's the thing.
I think you gotta go with a guy that I've been touting all offseason. I have him in every league. If I've waited a little bit longer,
he said Swift, I guess.
Nah. We're going with our boy Javonte.
Good call.
Yeah, no, he was not getting around back to you. Sorry.
Yeah, good call there, because I think it's a big indication that he did not play in the last preseason game and that they featured Melvin Gordon. Is that Javonte Williams I think he's the clear-cut starter for that team right now. And if you've gotten him ahead of behind round 4, if you've gotten him in round 5, 6, 7, 8, depends on what your drafts are. Yeah, I think you're getting a guy that could be a steal a little later on, but I like some Javonte Williams. That's for damn sure.
I think especially early on, I think it's gonna be a situation like some of these rookie running backs last year, to where he may start off in a timeshare, but I think the longer the season goes on, we're gonna see a lot more Javonte Williams.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. I think Javonte is going to be a guy that they're going to really utilize here. T. Higgins coming off the board to Mr. Charisma there.
Gonna go down the board just a wee little bit there for that.
I don't hate it.
I mean, if you like him, but that's a little further down the board than some of these guys. But hey, go get your guy, right?
Yeah, I mean that could be his guy there. So we're getting a lot of this action kind of rolling off the board here.
Lightning, everybody ready to go on their stuff here.
Yeah,
Josh Allen right in front of you. They're having your guys left and right, me.
Yeah.
So let's see. What do we got? What do we got for your team here? We got Alvin Kamara, David Montgomery, and Terry McLaurin so far. So what direction you going, MB?
I believe we're going to stay with the wide receiver group here.
Let's see if I can guess. Okay, I've got my guess ready.
I'm going through and looking at my rankings currently right now to see who I have currently ranked higher. Let me see if you are going to guess correctly on my pick here. based on my board.
You ready for me to tell you?
Yeah, go for it.
Oh, there's 2 guys? Okay. So,
there's 2 guys that are back-to-back right here that I could be drafting.
So the guy who I think you're going to go with, DJ Moore.
Ding.
I would say I don't see you going anywhere different than him. So
circle gets the square.
Let's just go ahead and put him in there because there's no way you're going anywhere different than that. You hate the other guys on the board right here. Maybe other than one guy. I'm not going to say his name because you got people listing drafting around you. But
yeah, that's true. Like there's another guy that's on the board that I'm looking at also. Maybe if he makes him back around to me, I might pull the trigger there as well. But DJ Moore. In store for a very big year, probably going to play a lot out of the slot for the Panthers team. And we saw with him and Darnold, they played yesterday together or the night before. It's all running together at this point in time. But DJ Moore was getting hit constantly on those underneath routes. And he could be a guy that's going to be a big-time player in PPR formats this year if he's hitting a lot of those underneath routes with the Panthers and a team that's probably going to be trailing a lot. They're going to need to throw the ball quite a bit.
I think you put James, our former marketing PR guy at pick 2, who's the Panthers fan, on tilt yet again from getting another Panther right out in front of him.
Oh man, he's dragging his teeth right now. He just can't figure out what to do.
I think it's probably why it took him so long getting Tyler Lockett there. He had DJ Moore. I'm assuming just all queued up and ready to go.
Queued up, ready to go. I hit him. And when you get hit in the draft, you're playing with your hands over your face. You're on tilt. You don't know what to do. So now we're kind of getting down into the kind of nuts and bolts time here.
Nuts and bolts indeed.
Looking along the board, we've got a lot of people. We've got some. Mostly everybody has kind of gone so far. It looks like 2 running back, 2 wide receiver. 2 running back, wide receiver, tight end, kind of mixed in a little bit here and there.
Got a couple of quarterbacks. I mean, this has all gone pretty according to, I would say, what most leagues that I've seen have gone so far. We've got, one of the things I would say that my strategy has been most of the years is letting the wide receivers fall. But I mean, at the same time, I haven't really been getting a lot of, top wide receivers falling to me, this late. So
true. Also true.
So I think this is one of those things, again, you and I talk about it. Don't let the board play you, you play the board. Although I know you actually sometimes will kind of mix and match a little bit depending on what's happening in a draft. Yeah. It's like what's your strategy here? I mean, you've gone double running back, double wide receiver here. You're coming up, and granted, I know you probably don't want to say anything until you're actually on the clock here, but
no, yeah, I'm kind of just really playing the board as it's coming to me. I'm not really so far. My picks really haven't been forced upon me. Obviously, you don't want to feel that way early on in the draft, and if you are. I mean, God help you, you're probably struggling to make picks at that point in time. You should always have a plan as the draft is rolling along, and that's kind of what I've got right now. And that plan, sometimes it gets changed here and there based on picks that are made. But so far through this draft, through 4 picks, I kind of like what I'm putting together. And now it's just all about making the right picks at the right time and setting up this roster, setting up this starting lineup that's going to be able to compete for this championship this year.
See, starting into round 5 here.
Yeah, we had Thielen was the pick here at the end of round 4. It was the 48th overall. Adam Thielen, who, of course, now with the Irv Smith injury, I think we're going to see, unfortunately, because I think that Irv Smith was in line to take a lot of touchdowns away from Adam Thielen. I think Adam Thielen back is in that mold again where he's going to get looked at a lot in the red zone. So I think that's a great pick.
I don't think he was
overall.
Yeah, I don't think he wasn't not going to get looked at. I think that's just you looking at Adam Thielen. You underrated him last year. I was all about him because Kirk Cousins looks to him in the red zone. He's just not going to brand you all of a sudden just not.
That's the thing. At him. That's the thing. You have to look at it from a microscope. Do I think that Adam Thielen was going to get a little bit of regression and those touchdowns go to Irv Smith?
Sure.
Yes.
Sure, but he's not going to go from 14 Smith to 7. Yeah, I don't. Yeah.
I think you could have seen Adam Thielen drop from 13 to 8. Yeah, I think that could have happened.
Sure. I don't
Now
see.
you're
I don't
looking
see
at
Irv
Thielen
Smith
being a
getting
guy
any more than 5 if he was healthy.
See, and that's where I think you're wrong. I think you're looking at Irv Smith being a guy that's in that 6 to 8 range. It's probably more closer to 8 for me, which would have made him easily inside the top 10 at tight end.
All right.
Got Mike Davis off the board here to start round 5.
I just can't buy Mike Davis, man. You could give him to me in the 10th round and I wouldn't pick him.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things. Mike Davis, I remember the Mike Davis from the Chicago Bears and him getting cut. When he was supposed to be the starter, he got cut. Like, great. I know he came in last year and had a good year. All right, sorry to talk. I know you're on the board. What you got?
Yeah, now I'm
your guy's still on the board, isn't he?
I'm on the clock, and my guy is still on the board that I was looking at between DJ Moore and this guy here, and I'll point it out here, which was also what Roach pointed out, Deontay, because he's going to break out. Well, I would argue to the point that I think he broke out a little bit last year. Drops be damned. Because everybody wants to look at the negative when it comes to certain things.
I mean,
Deontay Johnson in a league where we're starting 3 wide receivers, mind you. I now have a starting 3 of McLaurin, DJ Moore, Deontay Johnson. I rival anyone. I'll rival anyone to make a better starting 3 than what I just put together here.
Don't worry, I'm getting ready to.
Yeah. Okay. Let me pull the board up here real quick. Right after me, I kind of was sandwiched in here with the running back run of Mike Davis, Gus Edwards. I took Deontay Johnson's. Trey Sermon was the next pick off the board, followed by Brandon Ayuk. We're on a 49ers run, ladies and gentlemen.
Brandon Ayuk is a guy I drafted a lot of last year just because he was going late. He wasn't really talked up a lot like some other guys. I am not about this draft position for Brandon Ayuk. There's a lot of competition for receptions in there, and I don't know how much they're gonna throw the ball. So
yeah, I mean it all depends on who is the quarterback, and we saw it in the preseason game today. They did a lot of quarterback rotation between Trey Lance and Jimmy Garoppolo. Please don't be what they're going to do during the regular season, because that's going to be god awful if that's their plan is to rotate quarterbacks. Neither guy is going to be able to find any rhythm. Your offense is going to struggle. But if Trey Lance is the quarterback early on and is a quarterback throughout the whole season, I agree with you. Brandon Ayuk is going in a position right now as a guy that you're expecting to catch 90 balls and close to 10 touchdowns, and that's just not going to happen with Trey Lance at quarterback.
Yeah, not at all.
So now we got Mr. Charisma up on the board. He just had Julio Jones sniped in front of him. But then he does go with this guy that he absolutely loves, and I don't understand why. Kareem Hunt comes off the board to Mr. Charisma here. I'm not a big fan of Kareem Hunt. I think it hurts his value being in that Browns offense where he's splitting time behind Nick Chubb. Kareem Hunt's a guy that you really need to have in there and be featured as the running back. We saw how well he performed as the lead guy in Kansas City. He's not been the same guy here in Cleveland, and said, yeah, I can't buy in there in round 5 on Kareem Hunt. Kenny Golladay coming off the board there.
Have mercy.
Yes, I wanted to say the exact same thing. Have mercy for that pick, because that guy probably is not playing anytime soon. Oh man, yeah, Kenny Golladay can't seem to get on the field for the Giants. Does not bode well for him if you're expecting him to play a full season with his new role as the lead wide receiver for the New York Giants. And my goodness, does that team look like a dumpster fire right now?
So I'm on the board here. So I'm gonna make a pick that I have not made in any draft so far.
Okay, well, the Roach is trying to tell you here to pull the trigger.
What you got, Roach? Okay.
Robbie.
I hate Robbie Anderson. Nice try.
Robbie,
never in the history of ever am I going to take Robbie Anderson in the 5th round. No, we're going back to the running back pool, and we're gonna take the starter there with the Rams. where he was going here a couple weeks ago in the third and fourth round. I'm not about that, but I think where he's going here, I think he, for me, is the last starter in this little tier. I don't like Damian Harris with the type of receptions that he's getting. To me, Henderson's the last guy. I definitely want to shore up that running back position.
Yeah, he was a guy that I was wavering on too, because if I was looking at solidifying another running back, I was looking at the Darrell Henderson pick there, because obviously he is going to catch passes in that backfield. So I agree with you. But I
don't love it. But
I wouldn't have loved it either.
If it had been Deontay Johnson and Darrell Henderson on the board, I'd have gone Deontay Johnson all day long. I wouldn't have thought twice about it.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going by my board at that point in time. I'm not changing anything up.
Ooh.
Michael Carter coming off the board.
Good doctor, man.
He likes Michael Carter, though.
They do like them some rookie running backs there. I tell you what.
But he's definitely a guy that's lost a little bit of steam there over the last couple of weeks.
I don't believe he's the starter there anymore.
It looks like that's going to be a committee backfield, at least to begin the year. Who knows how it's going to play out, but I think talent-wise, I think Michael Carter is the most talented back in that backfield, and I think he's probably going to be the more dynamic playmaker for the running backs in that backfield. So if they do right by him, they're going to get the ball in his hands, dump him off in the backfield, which would make him a little bit more valuable in a PPR format, which we are sitting in currently. So I'm not going to hate the pick. I like the pick.
Yeah,
it's a little bit early. I will say that
it's a little early for probably where I would go.
Because kind of the same thing I was looking at when it comes to what we were talking about with Darrell Henderson and my Deontay Johnson pick. There's other players on the board that I have over Carter currently, so I would have went that route. Roach, by the way, letting you know that it's going to be Anderson over Moore in PPR this year. I agree. I definitely disagree with that.
100%. And this is coming from a guy who last year, DJ Moore, was solidly inside the top 15 at wide receiver. And I told everybody vehemently that he would not finish as a top 24 wide receiver last year. And he did not. He finished 25th.
Yeah. Now DJ Moore is definitely a guy that I'm high on this year with competent quarterback play and a creative play calling system with Joe Brady. I think that's going to be a system that Darnold's going to thrive in. I think that passing offense is going to be a lot more efficient this year. It's going to help Anderson too. It's also going to help Terrace Marshall. Let's not forget about that name. But I think that it's going to be a situation where I think the catches are going to be more towards DJ Moore's favor, and I think they're going to be close together in touchdowns, which is going to narrow the gap, obviously. But at the end of the day, I like DJ Moore a lot better in drafts currently.
And I think a guy who I don't know if we'll see drafted tonight, but Terrace Marshall, I think, is going to cut into both of these guys' workload just a little bit. Granted, I don't think he's necessarily draftable, for me.
Sure. Yeah. So your brother goes Kyler Murray, Jerry Jeudy here at the wrap to begin round 6.
Yeah, I don't mind that.
Yeah. I'm a little down on Kyler Murray currently. I've not liked what I've seen out of that offense in general in the preseason. Could they be hiding some things? Sure. But Kyler Murray has really kind of looked tentative back there in preseason play. And it's, for me, I don't like that negative momentum that he's perhaps bringing into the season. That could lead to kind of a really slow start for that offense as a whole.
You ready, B?
So that's got you back on the clock here.
Ready?
3, round 6.
Let's see.
I have a feeling I know exactly where you're going.
Let's see. I've already had one person. I know where you're going. No, you don't. Anybody? You want to venture a guess? Roach? I'm not going Robbie Anderson, by the way. He's still on the board.
Robbie Anderson's still on the board. He's not going to go that direction. What we got?
What you think?
I mean, I have a kind of a strong suspicion as to where you're going.
I don't. What you got? Go. Let Roach say it. You go ahead, and I'll go ahead and make the pick here.
I think you're going to go with T.J. Hawkinson.
Okay. Roach, what you got?
And he actually went with the same position. Mark Andrews.
Negative, not in this league. Dak freaking Prescott. Let's go.
Well, yep. That sounds about right.
Nice try.
And sure.
So here's my thought. So I don't normally go quarterback so early, but round 6 is about when I start, and I know for a fact, in looking at the history of this league, where quarterbacks start to go, and it's right here. So
yeah, it's right here.
I'm gonna go get my guy.
I mean, obviously, that would have been a pick that I would have looked at here in round 6, round 7. I got him in the SBFFC main event last week. I want to say it was in round 7 last weekend. So it's around about that time where you do want to kind of pull the trigger in some of these drafts. So I agree with you there. I think it's a good pick. We all know my affinity for Mr. Prescott. He's going to have a big year this year.
Let's talk real quick there about a guy who just went right after I took Dak Prescott, and that's Michael Thomas. Where are you at on Michael Thomas? Drafting him. Where are you comfortable drafting him, if at all?
Completely off of Michael Thomas as it's currently standing. I can't pull the trigger because someone's going to want to draft him before I'm ready to. So for me, yeah, I'm definitely kind of shying away when it comes to Michael Thomas. I'm going to let somebody else deal with the headaches that have come with a Michael Thomas. So yeah, I'm not in on him. So we got Odell Beckham comes up right before me. We had a tight end run happen, obviously, with Kyle Pitts going to Mr.
You knew it was coming. That was the direction I thought about going here.
Mark Andrews, T.J. Hawkinson both going around the pick 7, pick 8. Now it's back over to me here. And golly, what do I want to do here? Because I tell you what, because the guy that's probably the top player on my board right now, kind of looking things over. Man, I tell you what, it really is the next player up on my board as I'm looking at my rankings on Fantasy Pros right now. But do I want to go that route? Because I've already got DJ Moore. Is this something like I want to stack the position? Eesh. I think we're going to go that way. Yeah, I think I'm going to get Robbie Anderson.
Ugh.
Go Robbie Anderson here.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
I think Roach talked him into it.
No, I'm looking at my rankings in general, and I think that was kind of the sound pick to go with.
Is that DJ Moore equals Robbie Anderson? Should we need to change the lesson?
Yeah, if you want to go that route.
Wow, interesting. Yeah, I'll put it like this: Robbie Anderson on my board is like wide receiver 41.
I've got him in down the list. Wide receiver 25 right now. I actually got him ahead of Jerry Jeudy, who just went to at the beginning of the round up here with your brother there. So just to kind of give it a little bit more context on what we're looking at. Yeah, I don't typically like to stack receivers from the same team. That's kind of against what I typically like to do. But
so Sam Darnold's your starting quarterback, then be?
Let's point out the obvious here that Sam Darnold is not going to have a bad year this year. But am I going to be starting him in fantasy football? No, that's not going to be the case here. Hey, Roach says he's much better than wide receiver 41. I agree. Let's get that out of the way. Okay. Much better than wide receiver.
You got your rankings. I've got mine.
So we're down here. We got Russell Wilson just comes off the board. So
start coming off here.
Yeah, I think so too. I'm agreeing with you. So
we're getting a quarterback taken right here with Phillip to end round 6. I have a feeling.
Yeah, let me look at the board. See where we're at. Pulling up my draft board. Kind of giving a survey of the room here. We've got 5 quarterbacks off the board currently, Wilson being number 5 to come off the board. Tell you what.
What?
There's a pick that I'm looking to make right here that I probably wouldn't normally make, but it's setting up to be a pick that I might need to make.
I unfortunately have a feeling I think I know where you're going. Mike Williams, a guy who, granted, if he can stay healthy, I think is going to be.
That is a Philip Hampton pick if I've ever seen one.
I think Mike Williams is going to have a good year. I mean, he's in a contract year.
He's in a contract year.
All the man does is catch touchdowns.
Can we keep him on the field? That's always
on the field.
That's always the thing when it comes to Mike Williams is, can we keep this guy actually on the football field? It should be a big year for the Chargers, I believe, from an offensive standpoint. So he's a guy that should thrive in a contract year, like you said. So for me, I agree. I think he's in store for a big year, but can he stay on the field?
Aaron, that is also not a shocking pick there going to Philip.
Yeah, no, that sounds about right, given currently what we're looking at. So we've got Rodgers off the board as QB6. Now I am in a true crossroads as to what I want to do right here.
You going another wide receiver B?
No, I'm going to go with a quarterback.
Okay. Well, I mean, pretty much who's on there is on there because the two guys in front of you both have quarterbacks unless we got a double quarterback action here. So,
yeah. No, I'm
torn. I see what you're torn between here.
I'm torn between two, yes.
I'm sure our boy Justin Farley is hoping you go in one direction.
Well, and that's the thing.
That's his boy at the other.
That's the thing. We're looking at it's a difference of different leagues that we play in, and I just now noticed it as I'm looking at the board too. Mr. Charisma Justin Farley goes with two tight ends early in this draft with Travis Kelce in the first round and Kyle Pitts last round in round 6. Bold strategy, but you can start Kyle Pitts in the flex.
You can do that as a flex. I don't know that I like that necessarily that much. Maybe he's hoping to get a little trade value out of Kyle Pitts, but
so
good pick nonetheless. By the way, that was going to be if I didn't go Dak, I'd have gone Kyle Pitts. So where are you going? Obviously, your choice between Lamar Jackson and Justin Herbert.
Yeah, that's the torn apart that I'm looking at here between the two. I'm looking at Lamar Jackson. I'm looking at Justin Herbert.
So where are you going?
So for
why
me,
are you going that direction?
I'm going to stick true to my board, and my board says to go with Lamar Jackson as my quarterback. Yes, I think Justin Herbert has the higher upside as far as passing yardage and what he can provide in that form. But with that rushing upside, now that the Ravens have lost J.K. Dobbins, I think I might put a little bit more onus on Lamar Jackson to run the ball a little bit more and open things up on the offense. And we saw it last year to kind of end 2020. He really developed back into that kind of MVP form, Lamar Jackson. I think if he can kind of get back into that form and hold it for the entire season in 2021, that's obviously the better pick that I could have made right there. I think Lamar Jackson gives me a sturdy option at quarterback here. And obviously, yes, I went 4 straight wide receivers in this draft too. He's a guy that's going to give me that rushing ability and open things up and kind of provide a lot of that rushing that I don't have since I've kind of shied away from that running back position the last few rounds.
Devontae Smith going here. I'll put it like this. I am not a fan of Lamar Jackson. I had Justin Herbert in this league last year, and he friggin' dominated.
Yeah. Like I said, I think I do believe Justin Herbert is a great pick in this league as well. But I just don't like sticking to my board.
My board's my board, but at the same time, for me, when I'm doing drafts like this, I can wiggle every now and again. It's not a Bible. It's just a method.
Sure, it's not a Bible, but it's also to how you value the player. You've got a little bit different evaluation of Lamar Jackson than I do.
Mm-hmm.
goes without saying. So just go with the player that you want to go with. That's the thing.
Absolutely. So we got one pick to go. Let's see if my strategy worked out here. It did work out. So I was hoping, a guy who I've really run up my tight end draft board here. Here, and I've got him right into that same tier now with T.J. Hawkinson, with Mark Andrews, with Kyle Pitts, and that's Logan Thomas. I've really vaulted him up my draft board. I think he's going to be the number 2 target there in Washington at the receiving position. I'm seeing a lot of positive things coming out there. So Logan Thomas is my pick here. So I was hoping that it would work out in this case because I almost went tight end, and obviously I would never have gotten Dak back here. So the strategy worked.
Sound strategy there.
It's bold strategy, Cotton. It did work.
No, I mean, I do like Logan Thomas. I'm not as heavy on him because I'm not sure exactly how that's going to play out with Fitzpatrick, because we have seen Fitzpatrick like to really kind of hone in more on the outside receivers in places that he's been in the past. Mm-hmm. So I think there's obviously a regression because, Logan Thomas is a guy that came out of nowhere last year, was just an absolute monster when it came to PPR
72, 670, and 6. Honestly, I think he's just going to replicate what he did last year, which is not amazing, but that's tight end 5 to 8.
True. Yeah.
You see AJ Dillon go here. No Matt Krantz and Dr. Harwood. I was not going to grab AJ Dillon to back up Aaron Jones. I do not see AJ Dillon doing much of anything this year. So
we're not handcuffing this early in a draft.
Not this early.
But that was a big topic on fantasy Twitter today as well too. There's a lot of back and forth out there with what is the right strategy to play out. Handcuffing your players or not handcuffing your players. What is
your strategy on handcuffing me?
Mine has changed a lot over the last few years. Like typically it's something where if I'm drafting the front end of the round, like the Rotoballer draft that I did earlier on in the week, the Rotoballer challenge that I had the first pick overall, had Christian McCaffrey. Obviously in that draft, I grabbed Chuba Hubbard because I want to kind of save my investment of my top overall pick. And if he were to get hurt and miss most of the year, I've got the guy that's going to come in and be able to hold things down, and I don't have to jump into the waiver wire and potentially miss out on having my running back. That I'm okay with. But if you're in these middle rounds and you're a guy that's looking at drafting Alexander Madison because you've got Dalvin Cook, I'm not for that. I got Chuba Hubbard towards the end of that draft the other night, not in the middle rounds. And that's where you're having to take players like Alexander Madison and things like that because people are jumping the gun so early on them. So I'm not doing that. But I'll say this.
I think you hit the nail on the head.
What we're looking at and how things have been going the last couple of years, I'm more of the strategy where I will take someone else's handcuff ahead of handcuffing my own player because that's actually maximizing my roster if your player gets hurt. It's not something to where I'm purposely going out and doing it, but if the pick value is correct and I can pull that off, that's the direction that I'm going to go in.
Look, I think that too. It's very important to note that your strategy changes if you have trades in your league allowed or not. We were at the SBFFC last week. Trades are not allowed. My strategy going into that is much different than in a league like this to where trades are allowed. I'm absolutely having a different strategy.
Sure.
Going on some things. So Melvin Gordon goes right there. And this is a perfect example. I mean, I got Javonte Williams. Melvin Gordon, would he be somebody that I would be looking at around this range?
No,
probably
not at all.
Tyler Boyd, and I am up. So, man, I am just God dang, I'm loving my strategy right now.
I tell you what, golly, I'm not a fan of that Melvin Gordon pick by your little brother there. He likes Melvin Gordon, and I've seen him take him in a couple of drafts. But
he's drafted him everywhere, and
I am not on board with that.
So we're going with a guy who I almost took a round, two full rounds ago. A guy who he's putting up numbers. He's just not getting a lot of love out there, but it's the top guy on the board right now, Juju Smith-Schuster. For me to get him in round 8, over last year, 9 touchdowns at 97 grabs. Granted, Big Ben is dinking and dunking a whole lot here, but that's gonna lead to a lot of points there. So as my number 3 receiver in round 8, all day.
Yeah, wide receiver 27 on my board right now. So you definitely got a great pick there. I actually have him these ranked ahead of players that have already gone in this draft: Brandon Ayuk, Cortland Sutton, Kenny Galladay, Tyler Boyd, Chase Claypool. So I think you're getting a guy that's definitely undervalued, especially in a PPR format. Slept on is the term we would like to use there.
And I think, again, I talked about it earlier. I think this year's wide receiver core is so deep that, you're going to have the ability to be able to hold off on wide receivers. Granted, I do like Brandon's strategy. He went out there and got his guys, but I really do. I think you should go out there and at least get your 1, your 2, and then hold off a little bit, because you're going to get guys. When there's some good guys, if you go to the wide receiver, grouping right now, we're in round 8. There's a lot of guys who are number 2, number 3 out there on the wide receiver board. So,
oh yeah, sure, there definitely is. It's something, that wide receiver room you can kind of really play away from when you've really drafted them early, like I have. But like you said, so we've done in some other drafts previously too. If you hammer those running backs early, you still are afforded a luxury of a lot of valuable players in the middle rounds at that position, and it really kind of depends on how you want to shape your draft. And that's what we're seeing right now. You're at one end of the board, I'm at the other end of the board, and we've really kind of got 2 different looking teams right now based on how the board has fallen each of our ways.
We do. How are you feeling about your team so far?
I like what I'm putting together so far. I mean,
we're 7+ rounds in. You only got 2 running backs. I don't know if I've ever seen this on your team.
Yeah, you haven't. You rarely ever do, but it's how the board is kind of coming to me, and I'm just playing how things are coming to me and making the best picks of the players that are there and then going that direction. So,
let's talk about a guy who just got drafted here, Corey Davis. He was a guy who in some of these expert drafts early on, I was getting a little bit later. I think that Jets offense is going to be a little underrated on how things are going. How do you view Corey Davis right now?
And I mean, I'll point it out too. I love Corey Davis this year. I looked at Corey Davis. He might have been one of the picks I would have made here, even gone 5 receiver deep in this draft. I might have probably looked to get him here in round 10 or round 9 when we flipped the round over. But yeah, I'm all with it. I think Corey Davis is in line. It looks like you're seeing a lot in that early, in the preseason with him and Zach Wilson, that a lot of things are, really shaping up to be a big year between those two.
So you're on the board here, B.
I am on the board. I'm
on the board. So you've got 4 wide receivers, 2 running backs, and a quarterback here. We're in round 8.
Catching the board up a little bit here as I'm playing around. I'm gonna go with the running back position here for sure.
Let's see what have we got here. Ooh, there's just not a lot of sexiness out there.
Not a lot, but when you've got Kamara and David Montgomery as your starting 2 running backs, you're afforded a little bit to where you can kind of have a little wiggle room. And for me, I'm going to go with a guy that's looked good the last couple of preseason games. It's going to be a headache of a backfield to own in fantasy this year. They're going to play the hot hand a lot. We saw that last year.
You're throwing out a lot of explanation for this guy, whoever he is.
Gonna go with Ronald Jones. I think he's a guy that's gonna have some touchdown potential in that offense. And we all know Giovanni Bernard's gonna be the pass catcher there, but right now I need to get a guy that's gonna be on the field and has the potential to get into the end zone. And I think Leonard Fournette for me was not Leonard Fournette, but Ronald Jones. Ronald Jones was kind of a smarter pick for me based on where we were in this draft.
I like the pick. I mean, he was the top running back on my board here. I would have gone Raheem Mostert had he fallen.
Yes, I was right there in the same boat with you.
With that, but no, I think drafting where you drafted there, I think Rojo is the pick. I had him last year in a number of leagues. even with the presence of Leonard Fournette there, he still made good on a very nice season.
Yeah, I had looking at my board, I had Ronald Jones at RB. I've got him at RB 27 currently, ranked well ahead of your little brother's pick at Melvin Gordon, who I barely have as an RB3 right now.
Yeah, I just don't like it. Tio, real quick, I'm gonna go get a refill on the drink here. I'll be right back.
All right, and as he goes and gets a refill on the drink, we're looking at Brandon Cooks was the pick right behind me, which is not a bad pick here as we kind of close out round 8. He's kind of mixed in with this muddied set of wide receivers that we're looking at on the board currently, but Brandon Cooks is definitely a guy. Say what you will about Houston, they're going to be trailing a lot. They're going to be losing ball games. They're going to have to throw the football. And Brandon Cooks is a guy that, aside from injury, has always kind of hovered right there around that top 15 at wide receiver. So even with Tyrod Taylor at quarterback, I think that there's going to be enough weeks that you can string him together to get some solid performances out of Brandon Cooks. So based on where you're getting him and looking at the board, he's the wide receiver 4 for this team that is currently going to be starting Justin Jefferson, Tyler Lockett, Jamar Chase. It's not a bad backup to have there. So I'm on board with that pick. And we followed that up with Curtis Samuel to end round 8 here. Curtis Samuel's definitely a guy that I've got mixed feelings on right now. Like Nick mentioned with Logan Thomas and some of the positive things that he likes about Logan Thomas, and obviously the year that I'm expecting out of Terry McLaurin, and I think you're going to see a guy like De'Ami Brown really kind of work his way into a regular role in this passing attack. I think it's going to kind of leave a guy like Curtis Samuel kind of on the outside looking in. Is what I'm expecting there. So we got Robert Tonyan coming off the board here to start round 9. Yeah, this late on the board is tight end. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Ninth tight end coming off the board. That's about right with the value.
Let's look real quick and see standings page what we got here. So we got standings page. Darnold Palmer's James Sherrill at 1. Murray up offense. J.P. Hogan at 2. Neil Lowry have Mercy 3. Goodell's Goons. Philip Hampton 4. Yours truly 5. You're right behind me at 6. We won't go through the rest of the teams except for Mr. Charisma and Worthless Bunch all the way down at the bottom with 1 win. I'm just going to assume those are the teams without quarterbacks. And it is. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to be in that mix as well, but I don't have a tight end, so you can't really get a good gauge on my actual starting roster.
All I can do at this point is just see what the rankings say.
Yeah, so
right, and you're back on the clock there.
Back on the clock, kind of looking along at the board here.
Going to handcuff your most recent pick?
Players that I'm possibly looking at. No, I'm going to stay at the running back. I'm not going to handcuff. I'm not doing that. I'm going to go with the next guy that I've got that's on the board currently available for me at that position. It's not a sexy pick, but it's going to fill a need, and it's going to be a guy that, on a high-powered offense that's going to score a lot of points, played injured most of 2020, should see an uptick in some usage here in 2021 if the team would ever decide that they want to start to establish some type of a run. And that's going to be Zach Moss.
Quick, make your pick.
Zach Moss coming off the board here for me. As a guy I was high on coming out of college. Did not like him in the landing spot and that split work, backfield and kind of little usage that we saw last year. I'm expecting to see somewhat similar this year, probably more heavy to Zach Moss's side. So for me as a running back 4, I'm okay with that. I think he's going to be a good bye week filler for me, matchup play type guy. So Jalen Waddle right off the board after me. Now Philip Lindsay, the de facto starter.
I'm kind of surprised you didn't go with Philip Lindsay there.
No, because I think I wanted to go with the more high-powered offense, and that's why I kind of led that off like that. Is Philip Lindsay, I don't see as being a guy that's going to be extremely valuable in a PPR format because let's be honest, that guy couldn't catch a football if it hit him dead in the chest. So for me, I'm going to go with the guy that can catch the football coming out of the backfield and the more high-powered offense. And that's why I went with Moss. I looked at him, but Moss was the higher value pick for me.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I probably would have gone with either one of those guys had I been in your shoes.
Matthew Stafford coming off the board to the charisma there.
Going to the charisma.
DJ Shark coming off the board here in 103rd overall. The second Jaguars wide receiver that's come off the board. We had Laviska Shenault come off the board a couple rounds earlier, if I'm not mistaken.
We did,
round 6. How do you feel about that difference in draft capital between those two?
I like DJ Shark a whole lot more. I mean, he would have been my pick coming up here for me. So I love the pick. And, of course, I had just told Mr. J.P. Hogan about him earlier today. So, of course, he comes and nabs him out right in front of me.
There we go. Look at this. We got stay away from the Houston backfield, says Roach. I agree. Also says Cooks is going to do well, the only wide receiver on the team. And then regarding Curtis Samuel, he's reunited with Ron Rivera, who, by the way, really didn't use him all that great in Carolina. If we want to be real about it.
I don't know what you're talking about.
He had a good year last year. Was Ron Rivera there? No, he was not.
Wait, Ron Rivera wasn't there last year. Never mind.
That's what I'm saying.
Dude, years are running into one another.
Ron Rivera was the guy that, Curtis Samuel flashed in Carolina under Ron Rivera, but never really saw an uptick in usage. Last year, more creative. Yeah. Last year, a more creative play caller got Curtis Samuel more involved.
So real quick while I'm still doing here, B, I'm just making sure I am taking this guy. Yep. All signs are pointing to yes. Let's look at one more thing. I think we're making a pick here.
Quick, make your pick.
Yeah, I'm going Devin Singletary again. I'm going to go with the opposite of Zach Moss. I think Zach Moss he's going to be a good player, but I think both of these guys have some kind of a role in this team. Unfortunately, I think this is going to be the new D'Angelo Williams. Help me out here. The Carolina running back situation.
Jonathan
Stewart, thank you.
Yeah, okay.
It's going to be that new situation where if one of these guys would if they could just get given the reins here, they would easily probably be a top 10, 15 back on the board, but unfortunately, they're going to get it. So, similar to this, I'm going to take somebody else's backup, and
definitely that's kind of a situation there with those two running backs in that backfield. They're gonna eat off of each other. It's gonna be a headache at times. Let's be honest with it, because Buffalo's really shown no confidence in running the football since Brian Daboll took over as offensive coordinator. Maybe things change this year. Who's to say? But it did not look that way in the preseason game yesterday when Josh Allen came in and was just chucking the ball all over the field.
There we go. Our favorite there. I knew it was coming. I was probably going to make the pick next if it didn't happen. Marquez Callaway had a little brother there.
Yeah, and at this point, you're in round 10, getting right at it. This is the last pick of round 9. It's a little bit lofty for me. I understand we're all excited about Marquez Callaway, but getting into single-digit rounds when we do know that Michael Thomas is coming back at some point, I think you're kind of cutting your nose to spite your face at that point. It's a little bit it's a little bit lofty for me. I'm still more. I like him kind of in round 11. I think that's where his value should be.
Not in this room. If that's who you want, I think you got to go out there and get it, because he's not. But in this room, and a bunch of Tennessee fans, he is not coming back to you.
But I was
going to take him next.
I would preface it by saying you're on that end of the board. It's not going to make it back to you. If that's your guy, then go get your guy.
I agree.
So, yeah, I mean, it's the first pick in round 10. You would have been waiting to the last pick in round 11. yeah, if you really want him on your team, go get him. I'm not saying otherwise, but
so we got a couple tight ends off the board. Higbee, Dallas
Goedert. So now
Darnell Mooney right in front of me. I like Darnell Mooney, but I like a couple players a little bit more.
Sure.
So we're going to go with somebody that I've been hyping up and have on a lot of my top teams. I'm going to go with Marquise Brown. I think Marquise Brown had the touchdowns last year, didn't necessarily have the receptions, but I think in this league, in this format, he definitely is somebody that, as for me, as a number 4 receiver, I'm running the bank on. I will love this pick. I think he's going to be in the 75 to 80 reception mark this year. And I think he's going to get double-digit touchdowns. So great pick. I love this pick here in round 10.
Yeah, obviously with Rashad Bateman injured and kind of taking away a little bit of the shine, Marquise Brown is back to being the bona fide wide receiver 1 in that offense. So I agree with you.
He was all along B. You just didn't see it.
Yeah, I think they were more 1A, 1B, if we want to be honest there.
Tyson Williams is ranked 138 overall on ESPN now.
Yeah, wow. I would imagine they would have done a kind of a quick hit fix on their rankings since the J.K. Dobbins.
Yeah, it's really interesting though. Like, ESPN used to put out their rankings, and I don't know how often they'd update it. I think they just put them out. Guys get hurt, they were out there, so that way these teams that are auto drafting would be forced to take some of these guys. Unfortunately, that's not the case anymore. They update it pretty much on a minute-to-minute basis, which is kind of sad, but
which it should be the case. I mean, with fantasy information being there at the at the touch of your fingers on your phone, going through Twitter, beat writers, whatever you have to be able to stay on top of news, and rankings have to be updated really, really quickly. And that's what we try to do, especially at rotoballer.com. We're really on, fixing rankings and getting, our information out there and updated as quickly as possible when things happen, like J.K. Dobbins getting hurt, Travis Etienne getting hurt. You want the people that are logging onto your site to have the most up-to-date information. And that's what,
as you should. I mean, we're not back in 2002 drafting out of a fantasy magazine here.
Obviously, yes. Broach actually loves the Mooney pick. So, yeah, second-year wide receivers outperform their ADP 80% of the time. Coming in with the stats. I like the numbers there. Appreciate that.
Lovely.
Yeah, good pull there, which they do. I mean, you even want to get into the third-year wide receiver breakout too. That used to be the magical number when wide receivers were taken out of college. Now you have so many of them that perform well right out of the gate, a la Justin Jefferson, players like that. So it's definitely something to kind of keep an eye on. And we just had
lightning rounds.
I was going to say we had picks come flying off the board while I was talking. Ryan Tannehill, Jacoby Myers comes off the board. Cole Beasley comes off the board.
Cole Beasley seems to be the draft we did last night. Cole Beasley went a little higher. I wouldn't draft Cole Beasley pretty much the entire time. I think he's going to miss some time, at least a couple games with Cook this year. So
there's a good chance of that. I will give you that. So for me,
or at least that was some kind of protocol.
For me, I'm going to finally dip my toes into the tight end water here, and a guy that I've not drafted yet in any draft, whether that's through Underdog or any of the industry drafts that I've done to this point. He's on my board as tight end 11 currently after the fix was made today with the Irv Smith injury news, and that's going to go down to Mike Gesicki is going to be my tight end here.
Already maybe the best tight end you've taken all year, Brandon.
Yeah, well, I'm coming into the offseason, and with the additions that they made at wide receiver, I was just not very high on him, but he's looked good through the preseason. I'll give him that. Granted, the wide receivers for the Dolphins really haven't been out there too much, so you don't know how that offense is going to look from a cohesive standpoint with everybody together. But like I said, I had him at tight end 11. Here we are. We're in, tight end 11, 12, 13 category coming off the board. So he's falling right around where I was kind of looking to take him. And Roach coming in with the nickname COVID Beasley.
We could bring on Roach to do some picks there. Yeah, you didn't come up with the 2 Coopers, 1 Cup there, did you, Roach?
Well, I think it was already out there. COVID Beasley is nice. I like that.
How can it already be out there? This is a one-time thing.
No,
No, but specifically on a team like that.
Oh, well, put on the same team.
It has been 2 Gurleys. It has been 2 Gurleys, 1 Cup, but not 2 Coopers, 1 Cup.
Maybe that's the one I'm thinking of. I might.
Yeah, that's the one you're thinking about.
Okay,
that was Little Brother's team name for quite a while there.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well,
nice. Come on, B, get your names right.
Well, Jesus, there's been how many leagues are we in? My rest my case.
Too many, but I can still remember.
So, where are we at here?
Ramondre Stevenson.
Someone's watching preseason football.
Well, it is about that time that Philip starts to watch preseason games. So
sure, yeah, that is I'm gonna go reach for a guy pick if I've ever seen one. I don't think that Ramondre is gonna really break into that backfield, especially with Damian Harris looking as good as he's looked in the preseason as well against starting defenses, mind you. Yeah, I'll give him his due. Ramondre Stevenson looked good. That's the reason they made the trade of Sony Michel earlier this week. Let's not discount that fact. He's played well enough to put himself out there. And so
Philip really is watching preseason football. Rondell Moore right behind him.
Yes, Rondell Moore. How about that?
How about that? Is that a hum like I hate it because you took my pick, or a hum because
No. It's what I've kind of mentioned elsewhere with other situations too. Is there's too many mouths to feed there for me to really kind of get a good indication on that passing game.
4 to 5 other guys to feed out there.
Yeah, there's a lot out there. That is for sure.
Yeah, I'm not touching it. I mean, Rondell Moore could be a guy that, if he was like IE last year and going in the last couple rounds of leagues, yeah, I would take a chance on him. But
sure,
in round 11, when look at some of the names on the board out there. You got some proven guys. You got some guys on the up and up that are number 2 to number 3 options on their teams. So.
Sure, I will give you that. Now I am on the clock. Mecole Hardman just comes off the board. There with that pick. As for me, I think I'm going to stay on brand. A guy that I've touted all offseason. Going and getting my guy here. PPR format. We talked about it with Corey Davis earlier. I think the offense is going to be a little bit better than what we realize. Getting my guy Elijah Moore here in round 11. That's kind of about the spot where I expect to take him in most of these drafts. He's been banged up for a couple weeks in training camp, but comes back to practice earlier this week and kind of doesn't miss a beat. Looks great yet again. So that's my pick there. Elijah Moore is my wide receiver 5.
Okay.
And I know you don't. You're just not happy with Elijah Moore.
I am not. I told you I wanted. I told you early on that I wanted Corey Davis. He has emerged as a guy. I don't really see Elijah Moore doing much of anything here this year. That's my take.
I definitely do. Although he's not going to put up Justin Jefferson numbers, I think he's going to have an outstanding rookie season.
Wow.
I really do. Like, just from everything you see, whether it be me scouting him on film coming out of college or transitioning into the league on a team that's going to be losing ball games, let's not overlook that fact whatsoever. The Jets are going to be losing ball games. They're going to have to throw the football.
Let's not.
Trevor Lawrence coming. Old Mitch Kramer from Dazed and Confused coming off the board, who's looked great in preseason action. I actually did debate that pick there here in round 11. I'm not going to lie.
Between who? Oh, T-Law?
Yeah, I might have pulled the trigger on Lawrence here, but decided to kind of shy away from that.
Shy away.
Paris Campbell, who's now with the T.Y. Hilton injury, should be getting a bigger share of the workload along in Indianapolis with those pass catchers. How do you feel about Paris Campbell right now?
That's a decent pick. I mean, I definitely want to have more of Pittman, but yeah, I mean, I think this is around the now anyway with the T.Y. Hilton injury. I think this is about the spot to be able to go and grab a guy like Paris Campbell.
There you go. Roach giving me the likes. He likes it. Thumbs up. Love it. Loving it with some Elijah Moore picks there. But put you back on the clock. Henry Ruggs. That was another guy that I was looking at with my pick.
Yeah, I was going to take any one of those last three guys that came on the board and just boom, 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 just right in front of me.
Yes, that's what I like to hear.
But the guy who I had number 4, I don't know why, but this guy keeps falling to me in drafts, and I keep plucking him, and I am happy to be able to take him. Let me make sure that I don't need. So this is the other reason I love drafting at the 10 spot. I can look at the 2 teams behind me, see what they need, see what direction that they're going, and go ahead and make that pick. So, yep, everything I am seeing is leaning me going this guy too. Yep. We're going to Devontae Parker. He's a guy year to year just keeps putting up numbers. He keeps falling. Again, much like Juju, the guy just keeps making plays when he's healthy. That was his problem there for a while, staying healthy.
Yeah, I'm just – he's
you're
turning.
not on him.
No, he's turning into a guy.
I'm not on Jalen Waddle this year.
I'm not a Jalen Waddle guy. I'm more Will Fuller if I'm going to pick any of those 3 guys, obviously. But for me, I don't know. It remains to be seen for me what Parker will do with Tua, because we really saw once Fitzpatrick was pulled out of that lineup and him, those contested catch balls, those 50-50 balls that Ryan Fitzpatrick has really liked to throw over the course of his career, those were great for Devontae Parker. But he really kind of fell off somewhat with Tua under center. Tua didn't look great as a quarterback altogether.
Hold on, I've got to do commissioner duties here.
Oh, we got a commissioner duty issue here. Wonder what that's going to wind up being. I really would love to hear this part. We probably had a holdup in the draft or a wrong pick made. So now we're going to probably have to erase and backtrack because the pick that was made was James White off the board to the SBFFC team of Harwood and Krantz. I'm going to be guessing that was not the pick that they wanted to make. They made a mistake there. So let's see how that unfolds here with this one. The draft has been paused by the league manager. So as we've got a few minutes now since he's got the draft pause and they're trying to kind of figure out what's going on there. Let's kind of give an overview of the board here as I'm looking at it. We're in the kind of in this last third of this draft. Roach wanting to know, how do you pause on ESPN? That's a commissioner thing.
That's right.
The commissioner has the authority to be able to pause the draft during the draft.
Man alive, is it ever in a confusing spot, though?
I would imagine so. That's
used to make it very easy to be able to do this, and they do not do that.
So I was kind of looking at a little overview of the board there for a second, too. The worthless bunch. Now with the Trevor Lawrence pick, that was his number 1 quarterback taken here in round 11. He's got Adams, Metcalf, then he went Miles Sanders, Josh Jacobs, Chase Edmonds, Mark Andrews, Devontae Smith, Raheem Mostert, Jarvis Juice Landry, COVID Beasley, Trevor Lawrence as his number one. That's not a bad group of starters there.
As usual, all comes down to the quarterback position.
So do you want to throw so going backtrack, so what was the holdup there? Why did we have to pause the draft?
We had a disconnected internet back in Humboldt, Tennessee, and his internet went out on him. So we had to see. He knew who he wanted to pick. I just had to figure out how to do it.
Okay.
So kudos to little brother there. He knew who he wanted. Unfortunately, grabbed. I was going to tell him if he wanted Tony Pollard, that he was going to be my pick. Well, if you want Tony Pollard and you want me to make these picks, you're gonna have to not draft Tony Pollard and let him come to me.
So while we're kind of in the discussion on it, so Roach as a commissioner himself, how can you find the draft pause button in the draft room?
So right above. Okay, so you see where it says players, then pick history, and then rules. To the side of mine, it has league manager. So right to the side, to the left where your cursor is.
Like right here in this area.
Right there on my board, it says league manager.
Got it.
And then it has the option, the very top when you click that, it says pause the draft to enable all the league manager functions. So I basically have to pause and then go in there, and then I can draft for other teams. I can go back and delete picks just in case somebody's clock ran out and what isn't supposed to. You can do anything and everything from there. So
gotcha. So that's helpful for Roach moving forward as a commissioner.
Glad you got something out of this tonight, there, Roach.
Yeah, exactly.
Other than not to draft Robbie Anderson so high.
Well, I didn't draft him high. He's my fourth wide receiver.
I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about Roach. Roach wants him as his number 2.
Oh, here we go. Tyson Williams, the aforementioned, off the board, who could be the de facto number 2 running back for the Baltimore Ravens now, coming off the board here in, was that 136 overall, pick 4 in round 12.
There's Terry Marshall.
Followed by Jalen Rager or Smith. Good pick if you've already got a tight end. I might have to go back and double check to see if that team already has a tight end. I'm going through and catching these.
Murray up? Does he already has Noah Fant? So
that's not a bad pick then, because I would expect to see him come back fairly soon. Probably going to miss the month of September, I'd imagine. We got to wait to see what the surgery says once the surgery takes place. So, for me, what I'm looking at here, how this board is looking up. I'm going to go. I think I'm going to dip my toes back into the running back position.
Interesting.
Go with a more PPR formatted running back here. Now, let's see where he's at, actually, on this board. Possibly on further down.
Not a bad pick, B. I think you have to go back to the top.
Not at the top.
No. I don't know who you're talking about. Oh, no wonder.
Yes. My guy here, Kenny Gainwell, is who I'm going to go with. PPR running back extraordinaire. And we keep hearing solid things coming out of camp for Kenny Gainwell. I think that's going to be a solid pick. He's running back 5 on my roster now. So definitely looking at the board. That's kind of a pick that I was really looking to make here around in this 12-13 range.
Okay.
Because, let's be honest. You're at this point in the draft with a lot of these running backs that these are more you're pulling for upside here at this point in the draft with these running backs that are available.
Oh, 100%. I mean, you're absolutely gotta go out there and get some guys that are have some upside. I definitely don't like them. I definitely don't like him as much as you like him. I think there's going to be 3 to 4 guys in that backfield buying for catches. I don't like him as much, but I know you have ideas that he's going to be the number 1.
Yeah, he can eventually kind of take over that role, I think. But the situation there in that backfield, he's the best pass catcher they have in that backfield. And it's on a team that's going to be losing a lot of football games, and they're going to be throwing the football. So, yeah, it's kind of 1 + 1 = 2 mindset is what I'm looking at there with that selection.
Okay, yeah.
Why 1 + 1 = 2? I know Humboldt math is tough sometimes. We're finding that out right now. We can't keep an internet connected in Humboldt, Tennessee.
Hey. It's not Emmanuel Sanders. That is just somebody I'm just not going to be touching with a lot of my teams.
Yeah, but it also that feels like that's a Philip Hampton pick too, an older player that's been in the NFL. He's long in the tooth. Been playing for a while. He's on his what feels like his 19th team in the NFL.
How old is Emmanuel Sanders? 37, 38?
Oh man,
I don't think he's that old.
Also, don't get me to lying right now. Yeah, because I could not tell you. Oh man, let's see. So Joe Burrow to start round 13 here. So we're getting in the last 5 picks of this draft. Looking at the board, Burrow, the backup quarterback to Aaron Rodgers for team 1 here. Most everybody has kind of gotten 4 to 5 deep at the running back position as I'm looking kind of throughout the board here. We have our second defense coming off the board right in front of me with the Pittsburgh Steelers. I will not be going with the running back here or with a defense because that's just not how I like to operate my fantasy teams. Oh,
great. Apparently little brother's internet's still down. Apparently the tower's jacked up, but you don't have that worry there. 20 minutes away from him.
Well, like I was hearing something earlier today, there was some issues with there were some issues with some things like as far as like power surges and stuff in North Madison County. So
okay.
It could be
raining there tonight. Y'all getting some remnants of that storm here? Yeah.
No, not that I've seen. What do I want to do here? That is a good question. I believe, based on what's available currently, I think I'm going to go with the backup quarterback myself.
Okay. You going to go with the guy you've been going with here lately?
I think I'm going to kind of stick true to form. Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do, and I'm going to go with Justin Fields. Here's my backup quarterback to Lamar Jackson.
Can't say that I hate the pick.
Was watching him in Nashville last night play the Titans. He played the entire first half with the absolute dog shit of a backup crew of skill position talent that y'all have in Chicago.
It's not great. Although that Horsted guy scored freaking 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, all in the second half. Let's not lovely picture, but
he scored 1 with Fields and 2 with Nicky Foles there.
Yeah, that touchdown that but Justin Fields threw that made all the Twitter rounds last night was an absolute rope into the end zone. It was an impressive throw to see because I was watching it. He was on that side of the field where I was at, and just to watch him roll out and just throw an absolute seed. My goodness, it looked great in real time, as opposed to what we kind of seen. You see on Twitter highlights and things like that. Seeing that in person was really impressive. We are definitely down into the doldrums of this draft too, in round 13.
See, you hate this time. I love this time. This is where you're plucking dudes left and right.
But also too, I would like to point out, like me running this draft and sharing my screen on this draft. I can't queue up players, obviously, because I don't want people to be watching this live and see the players that I've got in queue and draft the players that I have. So I kind of have to leave. I have to leave the everything blank here, so I have to jump into the draft and then draft rather quickly. Roach wanted me to grab Trey Lance there with that pick.
Negative.
But he said Fields is a good pick too, so it's either way. Yeah, there's more for me. I think there's more upside from a passing and rushing standpoint when it comes to Justin Fields.
I don't even think it's that. I don't know that Trey Lance's numbers haven't been good yet.
Yeah, and that's the thing that's been getting foreshadowed is you see these splash plays that he's made in practice or in some preseason games. You've seen you kind of see those big plays, but then you go and look at the stat line. The guy's throwing 40% completion rate, and it's like, oh crap. So then it makes you wonder what they could really be thinking as far as inserting him as the starting quarterback in week one. For me, I can't pull the trigger. Yeah, I think we're in and it's like I put out there earlier today when I was talking about DeAndre Swift, is that I think we're more enamored with the name as opposed to what their true value is going to be when it comes to fantasy production. I think that's what we're looking at with Trey Lance. I think he's more of a kind of a name guy, and everybody's enamored with the name as opposed to what he's really going to provide you consistently.
I wholeheartedly agree. Sorry, I'm having some battery issues on my end. I'm working off three devices, one of which is running low here. So the one that's going to have to go, unfortunately, is the podcast one. So if I leave off, you'll know why. But I'm working on a couple of different ones here. So my pick is up here. This is a spot I really want a young wide receiver who's really I think going to have some breakout ability this year. Is a guy you and I liked last year, and that's Gabe Davis for Buffalo. He showed really good game last night. Again, yeah. I don't really believe in the Emmanuel Sanders hype. Cole Beasley's not a guy who I'm going after. Davis had a nice game the other night. I think he's going to be emerging and be that number 2 option there for Buffalo. So that is my pick.
Yeah, I agree. I like that pick. I like Gabe Davis. He's been a guy that I've long had ranked higher than Emmanuel Sanders, and nothing's really changing that for me anytime coming up soon. That's for sure. Let's see. Yeah, there's a couple old guys out there that I'm looking at. A couple old guys.
Yeah, looks like Jonathan's internet's back working there. Goody.
Yeah, that'll help out. So Damian Williams comes off the board to the primetime Matt Krantz, Brian Harwood team there, and to round out the round, Nelson Aguilar goes to your little brother here. I can't buy in to Nelson Aguilar.
I've got Nelson Aguilar in a number of leagues. I probably would have honestly gone in that direction had I not had a couple older receivers on my team. I really like having some youths on the team there. So Nelson Aguilar, I think, is just going to catch some touchdowns this year.
Yeah, from everything that I've seen so far through preseason play, though, I mean, it's the Jacoby Myers show and then whatever else is what it's looked like. Whether it's Cam Newton under center, whether it's Mac Jones under center, it looks like they're spreading the wealth outside of Jacoby Myers, and we really don't know what to expect from that passing attack yet, truly, because we've not seen Jonnu Smith, we've not seen Hunter Henry. I expect them to run a lot of 12 personnel. That's going to limit the wide receivers that they have on the field. So that's why I'm kind of down on Aguilar. I've risen Jacoby Myers up, but yeah, I'm not big on Aguilar. I think we're kind of expecting him to
risen him up.
I think we're expecting to see more of the Aguilar we saw last year with the Raiders, and I don't think that we're going to see anywhere near that player this year.
Okay. Interesting.
Just from my own personal perspective. Perspectives.
I'm your host, Lionel Osborne. It's got the Rams D coming off the board. It's about that spot to be able to go with a defense here. So
sure, you're in round 14. You got 4 picks left here. Let's see. I'm looking at on my roster. I've got 2 available picks left to make that I could make. I'm pretty much full at the running back position according to what I'm looking at on my screen.
Yeah,
Bench
this
depth.
is always that spot for me wherever I just, again, with defenses, I think you got to really go out there and take a look at the rankings and what some of these guys are here.
Sure.
Who they're playing.
That's the bigger thing for me. There's been a couple of times in some of these drafts that I've done that I've looked at their playoff potential weeks, and it's really kind of changed who I picked because of that.
And I'll say this absolutely out there. My number one defense, just sheerly in terms of who they're playing, is Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay has got an amazing schedule. I just wound up going with the Buffalo Bills. Tampa's got an amazing schedule.
Like 2 rounds earlier.
Oh, absolutely. Unfortunately, we know some of these guys way too much, and they know some of they listen to us quite often. Unfortunately, thanks, Neil. Not that I would have gone Tampa that early anyway.
Yeah.
But no, Tampa's got an amazing schedule, and that's one of the other better schedules as well. Is Buffalo? They have got. Let's see if I can pull them back up here. We've got the Steelers, Dolphins, football team, Texans. They got the Dolphins again, depending on where you think they may or may not be good. Jags, Jets, Colts.
But then
Saints,
playoff time, you're looking at Panthers, Patriots,
and
Falcons.
Love that schedule.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the big thing to look at there is that playoff potential schedule. There's no telling what that Patriots offense is going to look like at that point, but the other 2 teams, you could really be able to handle them.
That was not Neil that drafted Tampa Bay. Sorry, that was worthless bunch who won the championship last year. Got a run of defenses going on though.
Yeah, we do. We have that run of defenses going, and let them ride. That's how I like to. I'll gladly let you people take those defenses here around 14.
I'm good. At this point, there's, the kicker is the one spot. Depending on the league you're in. Like the league I drafted last night with the Dogs team, who's getting ready to be up here in 4 picks. You got to know your league format and how many points these defenses score. His league defenses, you got about into around about 7 or 8. Defense are scoring way more than some of the guys on the board there. You're if anything, you're benefiting from taking a defense. So know your scoring rules. He's got some extra additional points built in for defenses there. And apparently we started a little bit of a run here because everybody's
taking goodness. Yes, you did. Yeah, that's 5 straight defenses off the board from the LA Rams, Buffalo Bills, San Francisco 49ers, Baltimore Ravens defense goes to Mr. Charisma. Wow. Great pick. I'll say that. That was a great pick with Baltimore there.
I just don't like Baltimore as much just with their schedule. Again, it was right. It would have probably been Baltimore and Buffalo. Would have probably been my top 2.
Jamison Crowder.
Got our first kicker to John McConaughey. No, and Larry with the Jamison Crowder pick. That's the guy who I think is the number 2 with the Jets. Not Elijah Moore, Jamison Crowder, who seems to be churning out high catch seasons left and right.
Which I think changes this year. I'll be honest about that.
Okay.
But if we want to talk about rookie wide receivers, I'm going to stay on the rookie wide receiver train, and I'm going to go with a guy that I'm very high on, currently injured, going to miss a good portion of the first part of the year, and that is Mr. Rashad Bateman. Going to bring him on. I've got the depth out in front of him that I'm able to let him sit and kind of get healthy and be able to come back in. I think he's a guy that you're going to be able to get late in these drafts that has the potential to be a great starter for you at wide receiver 3, possibly in the flex later on in the season when it's really hitting nitty-gritty time. We're talking about a guy that's getting taken in round 8, 9, 10 prior to injury in a lot of these drafts. And I'm getting them here in round 14 towards the end of the round. That's, for me, I'm not going to shy away from that pick.
Yeah, you're getting a much better value now than you were, even a week and a half ago.
Yeah.
I've told you I don't like Rashad Bateman. anywhere other than around this area, I think is the only spot that if I were to take him, which I'm not, I would be going for him. But where you had drafted him in between round 8 to 10, even a couple weeks ago, I think it was way too high.
Yeah, prior to the injury, he was going incredibly high in drafts because a lot of the hype that was being put out there on Twitter, and a lot of it's substantiated, and it's okay. But for me, I think that's a guy now at wide receiver 6 that I've got on this roster. I like what I've got put together there with that wide receiver group.
Yeah, there goes a guy there that James is taking, Byron Pringle. I have no idea where the love's coming from. I'm not touching him.
I don't either. And that's the thing. I get Mecole Hardman, contract year. He's a starting wide receiver 2 for the team. But you've seen so many other players that have tried to kind of take that role. Yeah, Byron Pringle's a guy that flashes a game here and there every once in a while.
There we go. I was hoping he would make it all the way back. He did not, and Woo Fantasy love child Rashad Penny.
Yeah, Rashad Penny. There's a good pick. Would have been a guy that I would have looked to have taken also, but I don't think I'm going to jump back into the running back room myself. I believe my last pick that I'm going to make. I'm going to go back into the tight end and go with a backup guy here.
I think it's a smart move with your luck at tight end. You probably need that.
Probably. And, we saw one guy get hurt earlier today. That's the top name on the board here with ESPN. So I'm not going to really look there. I'm going to kind of look more towards a potential with a sleeper by chance. And a guy that's taken over a role on a team that really targeted the tight end quite a bit last year. And that's going to be Anthony Ferkser. That's who I'm going to go with here.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm kind of shocked, actually.
Yeah. I'm going to go with Anthony.
There was another name on the board that I was going to be pretty sure that you were going to go in that direction, but I was wrong.
No, it's Anthony Ferkser is a guy that I've gotten in a few of the best ball drafts on Underdog. I think you were probably looking at me to take probably Cole Kmet there. Another name that I was looking at was possibly Gerald Everett. Kind of the thought process that I have throughout those picks. But I think Ferkser is going to give me a solid floor as a tight end 2 type guy.
You're flying off the board here.
Right? That's what I'm seeing here. That's what I got to get caught back up on some of these picks. Let's see.
There's Trey Lance. It's magic.
Yeah, the Vikings defense comes off the board.
Mr. Young Ho. Yeah, Mr. Charisma, who's probably had his best draft in quite a while.
Trey Lance, Fitzpatrick. Yeah. That's what I'm having to catch up on these picks here.
Same. I get it.
So you mentioned Mr. Charisma's draft. Let's look at it.
Maybe my thought on his draft wasn't as good as what I thought.
No, if I'm going back, if I'm going back and looking at his draft so far, it's not. I don't like what he's done at running back. He's starting Najee Harris, got him in the second round, but then he waited a little bit and got Kareem Hunt in round 5. Damian Harris is probably going to be the guy that he's going to start as his RB2 most weeks. Kenyon Drake at RB4. He just makes the pick of Amon-Ra St. Brown, who I was also looking at when I made the Rashad Bateman pick. I think Bateman's got the higher upside once he's healthy between the two. But kind of looking back at his roster, I'm just got a good set of top 3 receivers. He's got CD Lamb, T. Higgins, Corey Davis as his top 3 wide receivers. But after that, Jalen Reagor, Russell Gage, and then Amon-Ra St. Brown that he just added. Not a fan of what he's put together here. He's got Stafford and Tannehill as his 2 quarterbacks. That's going to wind up. I think that could be a headache in some weeks. You're going to have to determine what quarterback you're going to start in a given week.
Quite true. Let's see here. Oh, balls.
Yeah, you're back on the clock here.
And switching from one to the other, I lost my computer internet connection here.
Awesome.
So, yeah. Well, I was trying to switch from one to the other, but luckily I have my phone ready to go. Let's see. So, players, we're going to go right down here, and I'm going to go ahead and get my kicker. Make sure that's the way I'm going here.
Let's see here. You've already got the Buffalo defense. So that means you've still got 2 open spots outside of kicker for regular roster spots.
Yeah, and I just figured out who one of my other guys were going to be. Who did Neil take right before me?
Tyrell Williams.
Tyrell Williams. Okay.
The actual number 1 wide receiver for the Detroit Lions.
Okay.
Gerald Everett comes off the board. I'm sure primetime Matt Krentz and Dr. Brian Harwood were listening to my diatribe on Gerald Everett as being a potential pick for me. Hey, Matt, did you hear Brandon talking about Gerald Everett? I think he's a solid pick here later on in the draft. We've already got the pride of Western Kentucky University. Tyler Higbee is our starting tight end. Let's lock that up with Gerald Everett here.
That's pretty spot on.
I think, yeah, that was dead on balls accurate, I think, for Dr. Harwood.
Okay, so let's see. So we got Gronk. I'm having to go off your board here. Is that Matt Gay?
Matt Gay to your brother.
There we go. And then he takes, is that Gio
Bernard here.
Pick I will not be making in any league whatsoever. Doesn't matter. Will not be touching Gio Bernard. Don't see it happening at all.
No.
Interesting.
Yeah, like I said, you have a couple of open roster spots that you do pull here.
I do. Let's see.
You're obviously not going to go backup. You're not going to go backup kicker or backup defense. So obviously, let's be. Yeah, I know that.
I've not taken him in any league this year. He is somebody that I've definitely thought about going, but have not went that direction. The guy who I thought you were going to take at that spot, that's Cole Kmet.
Yeah, that's like I said. It was between Kmet, Firkser, Gerald Everett were kind of the names that I was looking at there. But you kind of want to mix things up a little bit with your rosters. So I've taken Cole Kmet a couple of times here lately, so I kind of want to diversify what I've got out there.
Diversification.
Yes, diversification. So we've got Jason Myers coming off the board. Mr. Charisma takes Tevin Coleman. Okay. Jameis Winston coming off the board. Good solid pick there by the Murray up offense. I like that. Jameis Winston this late in the draft.
I do like that. He could be top 12.
10. I was going to say he could be a top 10 quarterback in that offense this year. Worthless Bunch takes the Browns defense. AJ Green, yuck and poo. To that, I think he is dead in the water, so I would not want to waste a roster spot on AJ Green. Evan Ingram comes off the board right before me, and so obviously we know that I've got to pick a defense and a kicker are the picks that I've got left to make. And let me look at the board back behind me. Team 2 has a defense. Philip Hampton does not have a defense. And I'm going to go with the Denver Broncos defense here.
Solid pick. I had even considered them earlier with my spot, but they don't have as good of a schedule later on. But
Well, I disagree with that.
Still not a pick that I
Week
I don't
14 through 17, their schedule. Detroit Lions, Cincinnati Bengals, Las Vegas Raiders, Los Angeles Chargers. Chargers might be a rough one when it comes to an offense to face in championship week, but those three teams they're facing before then. Whew. But Broncos has kind of been a team that I've been really honing in on late in drafts here lately, anyways, because I think they're getting slept on. I think it's a solid defense. They're getting a healthy Chubb back, getting a healthy Von Miller back. They're gonna attack the quarterback. They probably have one of the best secondaries in football right now. So there's potential for turnovers. So Broncos are definitely a team. If I'm not jumping at the top side of the board with the LA Rams, Baltimore Ravens, Tampa Bay's, Washington football teams, if I'm not getting one of those four, I'm totally comfortable getting a team like the Denver Broncos later on.
I'm right there with you, B.
Randall Cobb off the board, the ageless wonder.
I just don't understand that pick. I hate Randall Cobb so much.
Well, I mean, it boils down to we're on a wide receiver run for the Green Bay Packers, ladies and gentlemen. We have Allen Lazard off the board now, too. Because I was just about to point out with Randall Cobb is that you really don't know who the number 2 receiver is going to be on a week in, week out basis.
I'd probably draft Allen Lazard. I mean, I think that would probably be my guy that I would be taking.
Sure. But then, like, my MVS has actually looked decent over the course of the last couple of weeks in preseason. So, I mean, it's just, I don't know. For me, it's an uncontrollable variable when it comes to that second wide receiver in Green Bay. And it's a risk that I'm not willing to take. I'd probably want to go with more than safer upside pick and then guys that are going to be more kind of low floor plays.
Mm-hmm.
And waiting on this last pick here. We're in the final round of this draft. We're at 2 hours into this podcast. So
2.5 almost.
2 hours by my time on the screen here. We're at 2 hours, 7 minutes on this podcast currently.
Oh, that's right. I keep forgetting we started at 9:30, not 9.
Yeah, right. Yes, draft started at 8:30 Central, 9:30 Eastern time. Tua Tagovailoa.
That was gonna. There's better quarterbacks on the board, but Tua just literally just for the simple fact of who he's playing week 7, which is my Dak Prescott bye week. Tua's playing the Falcons.
Yeah. So for me, I'm going to go with kicker here to finish off my draft. Going to go with Cowboys kicker Greg Zuerlein, Legatron himself.
I thought about making that to combine with Dak, but I don't think they're going to be kicking a lot of field goals this year.
No,
they're high scoring. They're a high scoring. They're going to be a high scoring team there.
Yeah, they're going to be on that side of the field. So that's the thing. You want to be on that side of the field with scoring opportunities when you look at a kicker. So that was the reason behind that pick there. And Kadarius Toney. Oh man, John McConaughey, please no. Kadarius Toney. This is a 17-round draft, ladies and gentlemen. Do not draft Kadarius Toney in a 17-round draft. I would just like to point that out there. And Justice Hill, I mean, we're grasping for straws at the running back position there.
Well, he said he was going to take him. So JP's first name is actually Justice. So he said he was going to
take his namesake. Okay, then. You do you, JP. Oh yeah. I mean,
right now he is the backup running back there.
Well, yeah, he's the third down back. Let's be honest. So Brandon McManus here to Mr. Charisma, or wrapping up this draft here, getting down to the last 4 picks. Let's see how. And we just had someone waste a pick on Deshaun Watson.
That was Neil.
And that happens in every draft. It's happened in these expert drafts.
I'm not gonna lie. I thought about it here with this pick.
No. You okay?
I thought about it. Yeah, we're gonna go.
Ladies and gentlemen, he's getting investigated by the FBI. He's got 22 allegations placed on his name right now. He's not going to get traded. He's going to be a healthy scratch each week for the Texans if he's on this roster. It's just not going to happen for Deshaun Watson this year, people. Let's just let it lie.
I mean, whichever be. I mean, I think it's one of those things. Last round of draft. Let's face it. Any of the guys on the board right here, Traquan Smith, Hunter Henry, you could drop week one. Something happens weird. I don't think it's going to happen that Deshaun comes out. You got a chance to be able to keep him. I tell you what, I missed out on an opportunity last night in the keeper league to be able to draft Deshaun in one of the last rounds. Stupid decision on my behalf.
Sure. Yeah, I don't know. I just can't sign on for it. I think it's a wasted pick no matter what you do. So we are done with this draft. This marathon is now over with. Finished up this 2-hour long draft. We're 2 hours and 10 minutes into this podcast. So we're looking at, and I'll just kind of pull it up for shits and giggles on the draft app here, see where we're at. Has my team ranked number 2 with 9 wins in this draft currently, behind the Darnold's Palmer team.
Apparently they love the teams at the top here because it goes 2-3-1.
Really? What are you looking at it through the ESPN like finalized?
Oh no, sorry. I'm looking at the RotoWire draft app here.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at here as well. So, is that how that is? That's because it's got Darnold and Murray and me in the middle. So Darnold's the second spot team. They're projected to win this particular league with Dalvin Cook, Justin Jefferson, Darren Waller, Tyler Lockett, Gus Edwards, Russell Wilson, Jamar Chase, Brandon Cooks, and then getting into the backups, Sony Michel, James Conner, Mecole Hardman, Alexander Madison. So you did back up Dalvin Cook with a handcuff a little bit early. It's round 12, but whatever.
Round 12's early? Okay.
Well, I mean, I still I don't know. That's just I'm just not gonna pull the trigger on Madison unless I have to. And
if I had Cook, I think I'd go.
He's a Cook
for a handcuff. Yeah, I'd go that early.
Yeah, based on probably based on who was there, I get it. I do. So then has me in the second spot with Lamar Jackson, Kamara, David Montgomery, Terry McLaurin, DJ Moore, Deontay Johnson as my starting 3, Mike Gesicki as my starting tight end. Where did it have you according to
it absolutely had me toward the bottom.
Yes. But let's look at the
it's got Mr. Charisma there dead last, so
although
the amount of points between me and you is less than 100.
Sure. But let's see, looking at your team there, I mean, you've got a outstanding set of wide receivers that could rival mine with Stephon Diggs, Allen Robinson, Juju Smith.
I told you I would have receivers that could rival yours. You doubted it.
Well, I think you get the leg up because of the Diggs over McLaurin, but I think the total of my 3 I like better than the total of your 3.
I would say Diggs over McLaurin. I have Allen Robinson ranked over DJ Moore, although I think we're splitting hairs there.
I do, but I
actually have Deontay ranked over Juju. So yeah,
I've got Deontay. I think around probably wide receiver 14, 15 right now. So getting him where I got him was just a steal for me as a wide receiver 3. But with you you've got Aaron Jones, but then you might have Javonte Williams as your 2.
That's where my question mark is going to come in.
Yeah.
I got Javonte. I've got Darrell Henderson. Got Devin Singletary. I've got David Johnson. I'm hoping one of those guys. All I need is one to come through.
Sure. And I think Javonte will be that guy first.
And I do too.
But I think early on in the season, you'll be able to ride a lot of what you see with Darrell Henderson because I think he's going to be in store for some decent weeks as he's healthy to begin the year. and we're not really going to see Sony Michel mixed in too much to begin the year with that team. So I think he's the guy that you're going to probably be starting at your RB2 early on.
Yeah, I mean, at least week one there. I mean, with Javonte, I mean, they're going against the Giants. And I'm probably going to be starting him.
Giants front seven's not that bad. Darrell Henderson, they've got the Bears, right?
They do have the Bears. Yep.
Yeah,
they do have the Bears.
That's
home.
Soft. That soft defense, I would probably go with Darrell Henderson.
I mean, I think I'm going to go both, though, honestly. I mean,
you can start one in the
week one. I don't, Marquise Brown is probably, let's see, because, I was say at the Raiders. Marquise Brown's probably somebody I'm gonna find his way in the starting lineup week one as well. I think he's going to be a good.
You might have a lineup decision on your hands then, because I think you're going to start those top three wide receivers easily. You're going to be looking at who to start at running back 2 and then squeezing Marquise Brown in at your flex.
Yeah, I mean, I think I think one of the one of the strategies this year, especially in a league like this, I think is just getting guys in with a deal. You and I had Russell Wilson and Justin Herbert in this league last year.
Yeah,
you didn't. And you did not want to even trade somebody like Will Fuller for Justin Herbert, which still baffles me.
Because of the injury that I took with early on in the season, somebody got hurt that limited my roster, and it would have really hampered my wide receivers had I traded Will Fuller. And this is while he was on that absolute tear, who kept me competitive before the suspension. So, but if I would have made the trade, I mean, maybe it would have came out in a wash, but I don't think my team as a whole would have been competitive enough to get me in the playoffs. So it was more of kind of a management decision at that point. So, but let's look at it. We had 2 teams in this draft that did not take a second quarterback. One of those was John McConaughey, who only has Josh Allen. That's fine. Josh Allen's going to be his starter on a week in, week out basis. We know that. And then your little brother took. No, we had another team too. We had the primetime Matt Krantz, Dr. Harwood team only take Patrick Mahomes. The same thing with Josh Allen. That's going to be your starter every week, and you can shake out your bye week filler later on. Kyler Murray, to your little brother, is the only quarterback that he took. Whew. I mean, you better hope that he's a top 5 guy every single week. And
I think he's going to be. I don't think he has anything to really worry about.
Yeah, that's just where
they're going to be chucking and ducking all over the place.
I just have a little bit of pause so far with what we've seen from him. I mean, there might be situations if he gets banged up, you're in trouble at that point in time. Let's be honest about that.
That's the reason. Again, you hear in some of these leagues that you often hear on Sirius XM, talking about, hey, one quarterback league, you should only be taking one quarterback. And leagues where you have trades like this, that is 100% not true. One of these top guys goes down. That's one of the big reasons I took Baker Mayfield. I want a sexy name. To be honest, Sam Darnold, at least for my bye week, is a better pick for me for my bye weeks. But Baker Mayfield's a sexy name. He comes out doing something the first couple of weeks. I could easily flip Baker for a running back and be very nice.
Yeah, and that's, the same thing with me. If once Fields gets into the starting rotation, he's the guy for the Bears. If he shows that he can be, say, that Justin Herbert from last year, I can move Lamar Jackson to a team that really needs to solidify their QB1 and make a move and get a piece back in return.
Yeah, 100%. So yeah. So granted, again, if there's no trades, that's a completely different story. But in leagues like this where you have trading that happens, you got to take backup quarterbacks. I mean, that's the sexy position out there. You could absolutely – it's like I did last year with Justin Herbert. You flip Justin Herbert and you get, a top 15 running back or wide receiver. You're not going to find that this late for the most part. So,
no, exactly. No, yeah, I agree. That's how our draft here unfolded. We're wrapping up. We usually do this league every single year as far as the live stream here with the podcast. So that is this year's Woo Fantasy Experts League. Overall feelings on the draft. How are you feeling?
I like mine. I think my strategy actually did really well. I think early on, my strategy as usual is to get 2 running backs in the first 3 rounds, and just the way the draft broke, going so running back heavy so early, I didn't get a chance to do that. But I'm going to have to rely on Javonte Williams, who I have really high on my board this year. And if he or Darrell Henderson come to light, I'm probably championship caliber again. I finished second last year. The year before that, I won. I'm feeling really good again, as usual, heading into the regular season.
Yeah.
What say you, B?
I feel really good, especially with the starters that I've got in place. If Lamar Jackson, like I mentioned when I made the pick, if Lamar Jackson is the guy that we saw down the stretch last year, that was the MVP caliber, Lamar Jackson. And if I get the David Montgomery that we're expecting to see, that's going to be that heavy workload guy that's going to catch passes. Tariq Cohen is still hurt. I mean, he's going to probably start the year out on the PUP, which puts David Montgomery in more of that guy that's going to be the 3-down back and is going to get that workload we saw towards the end of the year last year. If I'm getting that David Montgomery paired with Alvin Kamara and the receivers that I put in place here, Lamar Jackson holds things together and looks really great to start this year. And from that dual threat perspective, I've got a solid squad that I've got put together here, which is shocking because I've not liked most of these teams that I've done from the front end of the board so far this year, whether it's picks 1 through 4. I've really liked things that have shaken out on the back end down there, 9 through 12. So,
and in fine form and fashion, you have a big question mark there at tight end.
Well, yeah, that's just how the board breaks. I mean, we had, that round where I probably would have went tight end. We had 3 come off the board with Pitts, Andrews, and Hawkinson all within the 5 picks in front of me. If one of those would have happened to fail there, I would not have taken Robbie Anderson as my wide receiver 4. I think this team is a championship team with a tight end there instead of Robbie Anderson.
I would have to agree with you probably.
So so now I've got Gesicki, I've got Anthony Ferkser, kind of play a little bit of matchups here and there. Let's be honest. I mean, if Ferkser is a guy that's going to catch 8 touchdowns in lieu of Jonnu Smith being gone from Tennessee, that's a top 10 tight end. So I just have to pick the right weeks in which to put him into my lineup. That's all that is to it. So that's how this draft has gone down, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully you kind of stuck around with us and followed along.
You got some good insight from us there.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing. I mean, you've got a week and a half left before the actual season kicks off, September 9th, with the Cowboys playing the Buccaneers on Thursday Night Football. Obviously, some things are probably going to change in the course of the next few days. We're going to have final cut downs made across the NFL. Will things change in Jacksonville? Will things change in Baltimore? Will they add a running back? Will things change in Atlanta? Will Atlanta go get a running back?
In Houston, who do they drop, if anybody?
Houston, will they drop David Johnson, Mark Ingram, one of those guys? Are they going to be available to go somewhere else? There's a lot of pieces that are going to still be made to put into the puzzle here to complete the 2021 NFL season. We will probably try to bring that to you later on this week. Like to try to get another podcast in later on sometime this week, once some of the news has died down and we kind of get some things in place. So be on the lookout for that. But until then, we, as always, brought to you by Rotoballer, rotoballer.com. Check them out. All that great information with the Premium Pass. So many great things that we're bringing to you in the 2021 season. A lot of new fancy features put together with the player pages. So go in there and check that out as well. So definitely do that. Premium Pass, 50% off right now. Woo Fantasy gets you another 10% off. 60% off. You can't argue against that to help you win in 2021. So definitely go check that out.
60% is success.
Exactly. That is a bowling television joke there, ladies and gentlemen. We're bringing it all to you. So definitely check that out, rotoballer.com, promo code Woo Fantasy. And then also, of course, Woo Underdog Fantasy, promo code Woo to get you an extra $10 on your first deposit. So go and check that out as well over at Underdog Fantasy. So until then, where can they find you on Twitter, Nick?
Find me at the Real FF Goat.
And,
Hyping Marquez Callaway all day today.
Exactly.
Thanks, Jonathan.
So, and at Roto Superstar is me, and this is at Woo_Fantasy, of course. Until next time, guys, we will catch you with another episode of
Woo Fantasy.